DJ CHARLESY. What's going on, my bro? How's chicks, man?
All good, bro. Just out here in Dubai surviving, bro. That's all I can be doing right now.
Yeah, I'm slightly jealous. We've actually got sunshine at the minute in Manchester, which is crazy at this time of the year.
Yeah,
I've been seeing everyone looks happy, boy. It's the happiest I've seen.
Bro, the whole country has got gassed.
Bro, I saw videos yesterday. It looked like a zombie apocalypse in some of the parks. People literally just running into the parks in crowds.
There's literally zero composure in the UK when the sun comes out, man. It's
madness. It's like Corona's just disappeared with the sun, boy.
Bro, literally. How is the COVID situation in Dubai at the minute? I was out there in November, and like you could go out to the clubs and it was obviously semi-restricted, but like how is it unfolding there for you at the minute?
No entertainment at the minute. So that means like no DJs, no major events, no dancers, nothing like that, but venues are still open.
Okay.
So like people, when they first made the announcement, I think over a month ago, they were like, just instrumentals were allowed to be played in the clubs.
Yeah.
Everyone was like, okay, because that makes sense. So if you're a club that plays dance music, pretty much instrumental anyway. So how does that make sense?
Choose the host.
Then they kind of backtracked. So now you can play like decent mixes, but everything's still open. And then they come up with this madness about no brunches. Like, you know how big brunches are out here.
Yeah.
So they said no brunches. So everyone's now turning that into lunches.
there's always like a little loophole, isn't there, when it comes to events?
Always, bro. It's like I just literally in the space of a week I see everyone go from brunch to lunch. Same concept, same pricing, everything the same, but just calling it.
They
lunch.
just call it lunch. When lunch gets banned, what's next? Is it going to be? It's dinner, isn't it? Basically, it's going to be like a dinner.
It's just mad though, because like over a month ago, that's what they were saying, but they were checking everywhere. Like people getting fined left, right, and center. Now they're not even going about. So I think they're saying up until Ramadan and then changes. So I think after Ramadan we should be cool here.
I guess Ramadan will probably help the whole COVID situation there anyway, doesn't it? Because my understanding is pretty much everything shuts down for the entire month. So
normally, like last year and the year before was the first time they allowed licenses and everyone to operate as normal. Like as long as
through Ramadan,
yeah.
And, okay.
I don't know what they'll do this year, but like it's during Ramadan for us as like in this industry, normally we take a hit, but that shouldn't make a problem with COVID because like Ramadan's all about gatherings and stuff with families. So
okay.
That's where they need to be careful more than anything. Like last year, the numbers just spiked after Ramadan.
Wow.
Right, got you.
So, yeah, because it felt like when I was out there, bruv, like it still felt exactly the same, even though there was certain restrictions in place. Like I hit a couple of spots, and the vibe was still popping, man. I still had a great time.
That was the time when that was the time when every single person on Instagram except me was in Dubai.
No. I went like I think I caught it just before like half the UK jumped on a flight, possibly.
Yeah.
I think you hit me up on my Instagram. Sorry, I didn't reply.
I saw it. See that, guys.
That was just before. I think it was like November time. You must have come in.
Yeah. It's like like mid-November it was. So.
Yeah, this December, January was peak, like madness, boy. It was. Do you know what? If the nearest to what it felt like was like Napa.
I was just about to say Napa 09.
Like, you know that 1 or 2 weeks, the first week of July in Napa, that's what it felt like.
It spread like wildfire in the UK, man. The minute people get hold of our hotspot, like whether it's like Napa or one of the holiday islands, last year it was Dubai, which is crazy. Oh yeah, can't be trusted. Can't trust the Brits.
Dubai's been here though, bro. Dubai's been. It's like it was new. It was like Dubai had just been discovered.
Yeah.
Like, wow.
So when they stopped the entertainment and the music in the venues, but they kept the venues open. Like what went on in these venues? Cause like there's no music.
Like super sick looking pub, basically. Just people.
Music was still on and that. Like
okay,
right. No like DJs, no dancers. Like production here is quite high. So there was just none of that. It was literally just like mixes being played in the background, and that was it, which is a bit mad.
Okay.
Yeah, it's weird because as well, where do you put the difference between having a DJ or having a DJ's mix? Jax was talking about this when he came on.
Yeah.
It was like, I think he said at 1 a.m. he has to stop DJing, but leave the music on. But he said he just puts on like a hype mix.
Well,
Yeah, he was like, people were giving him tips, man, and he's like, yo, I'm not even DJing, mate.
Like, I think that's what they're gonna do. Like, they're not just gonna come straight back and be like, you can go straight into partying. I think they'll be like 1 a.m. you can go with DJs, and then after that, like at the minute, everywhere has to shut at 1 anyway.
Okay.
So it's like you can't really catch a vibe too much. Like boat parties are happening, there's villa parties and all of that. But yeah, bars and clubs are just peak right now, boy.
Okay.
How much of your time out there's split between actually physically DJing and then running events? Because obviously you've got Disturbing Dubai, the events.
Yeah.
Which...
So it's like Disturbing was from, I started Disturbing here probably 3 or 4 years ago.
Right.
And then stopped it. And then me coming out here, like I've been living here full time for probably a year and a bit. And the purpose of me coming out was to run a beach club.
Right.
So I had like 2 months before COVID hit doing that. And then COVID obviously hit. And then I was just DJing, which was probably the best time of my life DJing. in all the time I've been DJing. And then 3-4 months was just amazing. And then just started doing my own like smaller events. Mm-hmm. And then when everything comes back to normal, probably go back on a bigger scale. But yeah, stopped Disturbing quite a while back. Like it's a bit of a, like we know what Disturbing is. The reason why I put it in the club was so that it was a UK vibe. Like let's get UK people here, UK DJs, UK acts. But then the night became popping, everyone started coming, and then the club just see it as like money. So then we can go bigger now. Let's book American acts. Let's do this. And then I was just like, let's just take it out because there's a brand to be protected here. Like,
got you.
The core element of the brand is UK. The music started to shift. Like, not a bad thing. And anyone else that does events would be like jumping at the chance to have a club pay for Future to be on your event and stuff like that. But I just had to protect the brand. So it was like, let's just take it out, bring it back as and when we need it. And then basically swapped it for a similar looking brand called Underground.
It sounds like the night just kind of got legs of its own then without even like trying to do it. It just kind of ran away with itself and then just evolved, would you say?
Do you know what it is? It's just the classic Dubai thing though. When like you could have called it anything, bro, realistically. Like it's in probably the best club in Dubai. As soon as it's a new spot, it's a new event, people start coming, then that's what happens. So it's like, and then like I can't fault the club make bloody millions, so I can't tell them nah. And it weren't like how I do my other events where it's like commission deal. I literally just sold them the brand like franchise type.
Okay.
I booked the artists, I booked all of that, and then it was like just got to the point where it just didn't make sense.
Right, okay. This is at White, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I did like 3 years at White. Started as like a ladies' night on a Tuesday, then moved to I think a Sunday, and then had the weekend on a Thursday night every week for about 2 years.
Sick. So you've only been there for a year and a half, though, you say, right? Full time. But I feel like you've been going back and forward from there for ages, right?
Yeah, I've been here full time since last January. But before that, 3 years prior to that, I was flying back and forth every week.
Wow. Putting in the first
class, though. Don't have us thinking that you're stuck in them tiny seats that I get stuck on.
Them comfortable flights.
Nah, private jets. I got upgraded. I would never book to pay first class. But I would literally like fly in on a Tuesday, land at like 11, go straight to the club DJ, like just one of their nights. Wednesday I'd chill. Thursday night would be Disturbing DJ. Go from the club to the airport, fly at 6 a.m., land at 3 p.m. and then go straight to 1 Extra, like weekly. I did that for 2 years straight.
Man,
yeah,
did you enjoy it? Did you enjoy that, or was it like proper exhausting?
It got tiring. It wasn't even that it was exhausting because I've been traveling for years, like as you know. But what got tiring was trying to make sure I was 100% on the weekend for the family. Like that's where it became tiring.
Yeah.
Like, that's why when it was like my girl was like, "What about if we just moved there?" She said that the kids were happy. It was a no-brainer. Like it was easy. And for me, I never, like I DJ all the time, but I was never one to do too much in the winter in the UK. Like I'd prefer to wait to the summer, then I'll do a club run throughout the whole summer. Like I'd make sure my summer's completely packed out. So then it just made sense for me to be in Dubai in the winter and then back in Europe in the summer, which I haven't done yet because of COVID.
Yeah. You're not missing anything, bro. You're not missing anything at all.
But that was the plan, and it was like, but looking back, I don't regret it one bit. Like,
I was about to say, like, are you like completely settled there now? Like, are you fully in the Dubai lifestyle?
Bro, I do not even want to go back to visit.
Wow.
Seriously.
I hear that, brother. I hear you, man. Like say, unless
I
it's like family or whatever, there's nothing to come back here for you.
That's what I'm saying. I know for a fact you two on the last 2 days have woke up with a bit of a smile on your face because of the sun. Like that's an everyday thing, no matter what you're going through. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, don't do this today.
Cheers, bro. We're going back to 8 degrees next week. So I'll wake up.
It's true though, man. Like one little bit of sunshine and it literally just lifts your whole spirit. Like it's crazy.
It's mad. And I honestly don't know what would have happened if I was in the UK during this time. Like how my mental state would have been, what I would have been thinking. Like it was hard enough here. So in the UK, I think, I don't know, man. It's scary to even think what would have happened.
I hear that, but you made the right move. Big up wifey for giving you the nudge there.
Yeah, she was on it, boy. She was like, "Cool, let's go, ready to go, boy." Literally, I think I came back from Dubai 1 week. No, I was in Dubai for F1, and I was at, I think, Blue Marlin with friends, and then she's messaged me saying like, "Why am I here and you're there? Why don't you just move there?"
Okay.
And I was like, "Are you serious?" She's like, "Yeah." And then a week later, we was like, done. Flights.
You know, it was definitely raining in England that day. You know that, right? It must have been. It's raining in England. She must have seen your Insta story or something where you're living it up, and she's like just at home. Raining. I was like, "Why are you there?" And I'm back here, like, right, let's get a house.
100%. And like her family's here as well, so it was easy to just up and leave.
Oh, her family's in Dubai.
Yeah, like her sister lives here. Her aunt lives here as well.
Oh, okay, sick. So,
what's the rules now, Charlesy, with moving to Dubai? Like with like your girlfriend, is it true that you still have to be like married or something, or is that has that changed now?
They changed it literally a couple months ago, I think.
Okay.
Like you can live in the same place if you're not married. When before they said you couldn't, but
right. Okay. Yeah.
People did, but yeah, like anyone, if you're a couple. Just come, boy. Just come to Dubai. I'm like Dubai tourism right now.
Man's selling it fully.
On the commission.
I've been having this conversation with the missus so many times, and because of her like work, it's just never like fit. And I've been pressing her for God 4 or 5 years, man. It's never happened. And then 2 weeks ago, her work, I've offered her a position in Dubai. I'm like,
is it?
I finally got it out of my system, yeah. Do you know what I mean? After all these years, and now you want to put it on me. Oh yeah, she's like, oh, you need to find out if the whole marriage thing is still a thing or not. Obviously, we're engaged anyway, but we're not married yet because we can't get married here at the minute. So it's yeah.
You're gonna do it then, yeah?
It's bro. Do you know what? Yeah, I can't. I'm the same as you, bro. Like, what am I doing here, man? I've had this conversation on the pod so many times, and it's bar having my studio and what I'm doing with Dubl and my own stuff with Compound. I could bring that with me, really. So
bro, these times have clearly shown that you don't need to be face to face with people anyway.
Real talk.
Like
and facts.
There's so much happening here. Even like what I'm planning, what I know other people are planning to do here. Like 1 to 2 years, it will be the spot. Not even just like the party spot, but creatively.
Okay.
Like what's gonna be happening from who I talk to, from what I'm doing. It's gonna be the vibe.
Have you seen the evolvement in Dubai in itself? Because like I know a lot of people, if you go back like 4, 5, 6 years ago, people say there's not much like substance to it. Like when you peel back like the clubbing scene and whatever else. Like how do you feel Dubai is now, like you just said, 2 years time, it's going to be the spotlight more creatively and have way more like depth to it as a place to be?
Do you know what it is? Like obviously I've been coming here 10 years, like even more. And there's never been that sense of community. Like you can, even if I came to Manchester and I hit you up, like you would just be there and you'll take me to a spot where other people would be.
Mm-hmm.
Like in London, we can do that. You can go into Soho House or Shoreditch House in London and you're just bound to bump into someone, like easy. Here, that don't exist. And there's no places where like us as creatives or like in the freelance entertainment world have anywhere to just go. And it's starting to come more on the fashion side of things now, but with what a few different people are looking to do, it will happen. And but you got to think, like, I'm an expat living here, I'm a creative. There's thousands of people that are in the same position that have no outlet. So as soon as that they kind of realize that there's going to be places you can go to, that's when it will happen. And like even Charlie Sloth being here over Christmas time, like just shows what the potential is. Like to do Fire in the Booth with all of these rappers that no one even knew existed
in the desert. And the guy done it in the desert, you know.
That was cold. That was
like,
cold.
That just shows the potential, and they're here, bro, and they're talented. The only thing in that sense with the artists is that they don't have a platform. Like they're not going to get paid from radio plays.
Got you.
They're not like Spotify isn't big here yet and stuff like that. But as soon as all of that happens, it'll be the spot, 100%.
That's super dope. What is the radio situation like in Dubai, bro? Obviously, with you doing the Capital and the One Extra stuff, like, have you bothered looking into that in the Middle East? I
had something lined up, like as soon as I moved here, and then obviously COVID hit, so they literally got rid of everyone. It's still in the pipeline. It realistically September, October should be on, and it's like decent station. So like that's to me, that's the thing I'm missing the most, is that outlet of playing music on radio. Like
I got you.
And a lot of people would say I was mad for even leaving One Extra that way, but if, to be fair, with everyone leaving One Extra, I probably would have climbed the ladder so quick this year.
It's like the ocean. It's like the ocean was just parted for Charles. And I just come through strong.
Literally everyone. I talk to people now, and it's like what they were priming me for like Radio 1 stuff. I would have just fit straight in, but I just need to create that here, which that's the plan, man.
I hear that.
Was doing the radio always a goal for you?
Do you know what it is with me? Yeah, we're all DJs and we can DJ. Like I've always tried to be that person that wears an extra hat. Like I started as a DJ, then done events, small events, blah, blah, blah. Then it was like become a tour DJ, travel the world with Tinie. Then it was like making sure that every lineup Tinie was on, I was getting booked on. Then it was like being a hype man as well as a DJ. Then it was booking artists and all of that. And then it was like, for me, the next thing to do was radio. And I didn't chase it. It kind of just fell on my lap, like, and then got the buzz for it. And that's where Capital kind of was birthed. But yeah, I wouldn't say it was the thing that I chased or really wanted. Because bro, you can ask anyone. As soon as I've got a mic in my hand on stage, that's me. But behind, if we're sitting at a table or whatever, you wouldn't even think I'm the person that had the mic. So that was the same thing for me for radio. Like it took me a while to get used to talking on the mic on radio and stuff.
Okay.
So I think that's more why I didn't chase it, because I just didn't feel confident enough to. But then I knew I had to, because everyone can DJ, everyone did events, everyone was a hype man. So that was the next thing.
I seen an interview of yours last night. I was doing a little research. It was an old Rewind. I think it was like sat on the table with I think Tinie was there, the Disturbing manager. Yeah. And they were telling the story about when you used to go on tour right at the start, and you would like not say a word to anyone. It'd be like a 5-hour journey, and Charlesy would just be in the back, not say a word. He'd pull up at his yard and be like, "All right, bye guys." Was you like a pretty quiet, like you just said then at the table? You would never think you was the dude with the mic turns into an animal on the stage. Like, have you always been was you quiet coming through, or?
Yeah, I was just like, especially the Tinie thing. It was that even just happened randomly, and then they'll pick me up, and I'll get in the car. Didn't really know anyone at the time.
I hear that.
We'll go and do a couple of gigs. They didn't need me on the mic or nothing. It was just press play, go, whatever. So I just wasn't confident in talking to everyone. And then it was just like, that happened for a while. Then one day it was like, we need you to use the mic now.
Feeling the pressure.
I never used the mic. I've never used it. to this day, I've still got the recording of my first show with a mic, and all I did was just shout. Like,
yes, we were talking about that last week with Blakey.
That's classic, that though.
First,
we've all done it.
Yeah, first mic recordings, super shouty. Love to hear that you were there as well.
Fully, and even radio, like my pilot shows for Capital. If you heard them, yeah, it's DJ CHARLESY Capital, like that's how fast I was talking.
100 mile an hour.
To like now. But yeah, I was quiet, man. I just put my head down, just did what I needed to do, and that was it. And I think like that the whole, even to the point like being on stage with Tinie to thousands of people. Brother, I'm not gonna lie to you. I've always worn glasses. I wouldn't wear contact lenses or glasses on stage, so that I couldn't see past the first 2 or 3 rows.
Oh, for real?
Not because I was nervous.
Right.
I got you.
Just because like then I'm just in my zone.
Yeah.
As soon as I put contact lenses in, brother, it was like a completely different experience.
Full HD. Full HD. Would you? Go on. Sorry, bro. Go on.
Yeah, I just wasn't that guy, man. Like everyone around me was the lively ones. I was just there in the background, bro.
We'll see how that works out. Flipping heck.
Yeah, I might keep my mouth shut from now and stop talking so much. How did you prepare for that first show with the mic? Like, did you listen to other people, or like did you do some homework on hosts or other hype men, or what? Did you just grab the mic and jump?
It was no warning. It was literally in the dressing room, you need to start using the mic now.
Oh, right.
Like, done, first show. And I remember the show, I remember everything. Like, it was the first we had done loads of club stuff, so I didn't need to be on the mic. Right. And it was this, MTV used to do this MTV 10 for 10, I think they still do it. And this was the year, like, Tinie was on it, Ellie Goulding was on it. And it was like a proper show. Audience, band, everything. And
oh, wow.
It was like, you need to just be on the mic. I need you to back me on the backing vocals. I was like, okay. This was on TV. This was everywhere.
Yeah, just doing a live show, but then doing an actual TV performance is it takes it to a different level, right?
That's what I'm saying. And then after that, it was like, it took me a while. Then I started like looking at people, seeing who did it, but no one was really doing it. There was no like hype, not like hype man that done the backing, but not backing vocals or singing, but just ad libs.
Yeah.
Like, no one was doing it at the time. Like Americans were, but their hype men were on the stage with the artist. I'm doing this behind the decks with a mic and DJing. And it was like, there was no one to look at. So there was no research. I couldn't research. I couldn't check anyone else that did it. So it just kind of just happened and then just got confident with it. And now, like, I can't wait to get back on stage with Tinie, because that's what I'm missing the most. Like being on the mic and hyping, running up and down the stage. No better feeling, bro.
Is your show still going ahead this month? So, because I saw the decade anniversary, and it was like 21st of April. I think I saw the poster.
It's apparently being moved. I don't know when. I think towards the summer. But yeah, that would be epic, man. It's mad that it's even been like 10, 11 years.
I was about to say that's a whole decade, bruv.
Yeah.
Madness.
Like, that's mad.
When did you and Tinie meet then? Because I was always under the assumption that you guys were friends from young.
Yeah, that's how it feels, isn't it? From the outside, you feel like it's just like a natural like thing.
It was probably like just before Pass Out came out. He was supporting N-Dubs on tour.
Right.
And then like I grew up, me and my brother, we grew up next door living to Twinbee, who's on my next door.
Like actually next door houses.
Like same block, literally.
Right, okay.
Same block. And then he was on the N-Dubs tour, and Twin was supporting him as a DJ.
Right.
And these days, like, this is what, 12 years ago, I was going up on the breakfast show with Twin just to see how it works, just following him everywhere. Like, and then we did the N-Dubs tour, and he was like, just jump on, like play a couple of songs and a couple of the sets. So I did that. Then it came to one show, where was it? I think it might have been Southend maybe. And Tinie's DJ didn't turn up. So then Twin was like, oh, they need a DJ. Can you jump in? I was like, yeah, cool. DJ Tinie's set, ended up finishing the whole tour with Tinie.
What?
And then the rest is history, boy.
Wow, man got it on a technicality, you know?
That's
crazy. That's crazy. The DJ that didn't turn up, yeah, must be burning.
Who was
it? the one at that time I think was Scratcher. He used to be on Rinse, but he does all house stuff now. But before that, his DJ was Ironic.
Oh, Ironic was Tinie's DJ first.
Yeah.
How did I not know that? No. How did I not know that? Mad.
Yeah, it's all mad. But yeah, that's how that happened, and then just from then, boy.
All right, imagine deciding I can't be bothered to go to Southend today.
I don't know what happened.
We've all had them ones, haven't we? Where it's like, I'm not feeling it today, man. Like you're pulling sicky or whatever when you're not even ill. Boom.
Yeah, but these times, like Tinie was the act on the tour where, like 7 o'clock when like 6:30, like 30 people in the venue and all of that. So I don't know why he didn't go, but to me, that them days I was like, I'm doing anything I can to get noticed. To like, brother, I'd be getting up at 4:30 to go radio with Twin. Just to sit in the studio, like, and even that's a madness because that was 1 extra, and then 7 years later I was on 1 extra, so it's like
you should have done the full circle.
Yeah, boy. But yeah, that's crazy. That's how it started with Tinie.
So off the back of that, like that was it. Then it was like made an official thing, or was it a case of we're going to bring you in on a couple more gigs and like see? You know, it's like when you work with artists, like you want to get that relationship with the artist, didn't it? Like how was it with you and Tinie? Because on that interview, you two said that you didn't like each other at first, right? Or something like that.
Because he was like, you're just like, you don't even say nothing. You're just quiet.
I don't even speak, bro.
Like it's like we're touring, we're going to clubs, we're going up and down England, and there's this guy just sitting in the car who's literally coming to press play. Like to them, it's like, why is this guy not looking to have fun? Why is he not pushing himself? And yeah, I'd literally travel 4 or 5 hours. So of course he's gonna say
maybe laugh that bad.
And then and then just got comfortable, bro. Like, and Tinie's a cool guy, humble guy. So then we just started getting close. Then it was a load of club runs, and then the actual tour. I think the one before that was the Chip tour, and then that was it. That's when Pass Out went #1 during that tour. And then just went mad from there.
And that was it. Into the fast lane, overtake everybody, straight to the top of the charts. Crazy times.
So say when that Pass Out record dropped, like, did you guys expect the reaction that record was going to get? Because that was a monster hit.
Do you know what? For me, it was different because I wasn't as invested into them, obviously, the way they were, because I was just like, I just kind of joined the camp.
Yeah.
So they kind of had that vision, and Tinie is like one of the hardest workers you'll ever meet. So they knew it. Like he was like, this is gonna be it. This is gonna be it. And to me, I'm just like, yeah. Them days as well,
all right then.
My DJ bookings were garage stuff, so it's like that's all I wanted to play. That's all I wanted to hear. So I wasn't even thinking about Pass Out in that way. And then as the buzz got more and more, that was it, boy. They knew though. They knew from the start.
They knew.
He did a really small club tour before the record properly jumped off. And when I say small club tour, I don't mean like a few dates. I mean tiny clubs. And the reason I say that is because I've got quite a funny story about the first time I met Tinie. And it was a club in Hastings. And the capacity, no lie, the capacity was about 60 people. It was like a downstairs basement of like,
Dungeon.
I don't know if it used to be a flat and it was converted to a bar or what, proper tiny little place. And basically the promoter at the time, obviously the agent must have just wanted to get him out doing club tours and offered him like at a low price, basically, because they wanted to get this guy out doing clubs. And so, yeah, he was like, oh yeah, tonight we've got this guy, Tinie Tempah. And I think from Wifey Rhythm, I'd known who Tinie was, but I wasn't like a fan or a follower or anything. So I wasn't that familiar. And then, yeah, the promoter was like, yeah, we've got this rapper guy coming down, just doing a couple of songs. His name's Tinie Tempah. So he's just going to jump on and do a couple of songs and then bounce. Now, the only detail I can't remember if I played the tunes or if he brought a DJ. Now, if he brought a DJ, I imagine at that point it would have been you, because it was
Pass Out time. Then yeah,
it was like 2 weeks before Pass Out charted, basically.
Yeah, it definitely would have done. Like it was, I think Pass Out went #1 in like February, March time.
Right.
And I'd been DJing with him since November.
Okay, so you must have come to this club then at this point. Proper tiny little dingy downstairs place, wicked vibe, but just tiny box venue.
We did loads, man. Like, and obviously the uni circuit was massive at that time. So we did loads of them. Them days it was like £50 a booking with him.
Yeah.
Like for me, I just wanted to get on the road. Just wanted to experience it all. £50, boy, that was mad.
£50 a booking, you know.
The funny thing was,
Wow.
I remember standing outside afterwards, and I was just chatting to Tinie. And at the time, I'd been really studying like DJ drama and his career. And I at that point had decided that I was going to go down the mixtape route. And, you know, stuff like what Who Kid was doing as well, like with the artist mixtapes. That was a point where I was like, I'm going to go down a mixtape route and try and recruit a couple artists to just do mixtapes with. And I remember standing outside and basically pitching it to Tinie, who again, and bear in mind, but at this point, bear in mind, Pass Out wasn't a thing. It was just a track that he just performed, but it wasn't out there like that. He was just Tinie Tempah doing a 50 capacity plate. Like no one really knew. So I remember standing outside and chatting to him about like, we like, why don't we just do a mixtape? Like we'll just come up with a concept and do a mixtape together. I remember like the guy proper humoured me for the whole conversation. He stood there for the whole conversation, bro. Like proper politely was like, we could do it. Okay, like here's the email address, just drop an email. And literally 2 weeks later, Pass Out's the biggest song in the country. Suddenly this guy with glasses is like the biggest superstar we've ever had. And it's like, oh, right, he must have known that that this was coming. And I thought, I rated him for actually standing there and holding the whole conversation with me.
I expected better from you, Dubl. We've all been there at the end of a long night outside, and someone's chewing the local rappers chewing your ear off. You know, you got a mixtape for you there, bro.
Exactly that. But you know what? I've genuinely thought I was onto something. I thought, like, you know what? I'm going to do this mixtape concept. Like, worked for DJ Drama, works for Who Kid. No one in England's really doing it. Like, I mean, obviously the artists were doing it in London, but down on the South Coast, no one. And there weren't any DJs that I was aware of at the time that were doing artist mixtapes like that.
No, they weren't at all. I even had the idea to do that at one point, and I got it all ready to go. But as many ideas I had, Tinie just kind of overtook my life in touring, which I could never like say no to. But it's mad that no one has really done that whole.
I was about to say, man.
Yeah. It was.
I think the UK is just set up differently, innit? I think we're just set up differently here. Like the American culture with the mixtape stuff, we're going back to like the hip hop days, and I think just our industry it's just built a little different, innit? We get mixtapes and that, but it's not like what Dubl said, hosting the tape, the DJ shouting over the tracks and whatnot. I think I've heard a couple over the years, but nothing significant that stands out.
The closest we have is when artists do a mixtape and the DJ hosts for them. So like obviously gigs with Big Ride.
Yeah.
And I forget the guy who does Scraps' ones, but Scraps has got like his DJ that hosts it and stuff. And like, so artists do that, but I just thought there's not actually any DJs that do their own mixtape as an artist mixtape the way that Who Kid and Drama did.
But you've got the issue of like, is it original tracks? Like, what can you actually get from it? If you're going to do a DJ mixtape where you're just getting rappers to spit over instrumentals and that, you can't really make money from it. You can't really do too much. But then if you're doing original tracks, then it's not technically a mixtape. You've created a project. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, because even when Tinie did Who Kids one, this was like way back. That was all over instrumentals. But in America, it's set up. That's the mixtape culture.
Yeah.
And I think in the UK, we just ain't got that, man. It's mad.
Yeah. And at the time, I had no idea about the logistics of it. I didn't know that you couldn't sell music that. Do you know what I mean? Like, have a rapper. If I put Tinie on a Jay-Z beat, like, why can't I just sell that as a mixtape? Like, I didn't clock at the time that was the case.
Yeah, but you know, my brother and Twin B and Wonder. Do you remember Wonder? He produced a few tracks on Dizzy's album, like a grime producer. From
Yeah.
They created this project, which is kind of the birth of Twin, like how he got Ministry, One Extra, the whole lot. They created this project called Split Mic, which is that exact concept where it's instrumentals. They had everyone on there, like all the rappers at that time. Sway was on there, Soul Solid were on there, and these are like on the biggest hip hop beats. But they sold it. It was a physical CD. Like it won a UMA, won all of that, and that was like them times. I think you're more likely to get away with it because like digital wasn't here. It's literally physical, sold in Rhythm Division record shop in Bow, and people just bought it. like, and bought into it. But now you ain't getting away with that.
No way, man.
The moment you put that on anything,
there's nowhere to hide no more, man.
You can't do physical sales really now anyway. Like,
bro, the same guy still sells the same dude on Market Street in town. Literally, he was there when I was 20 years ago, but he was on Market Street. He's still on there. He still stands on Market Street shotting his mixtapes. I gotta give it to him, man. Like the perseverance, bro. I'm talking 20 years deep. Like he's on Market Street every day, hustling these mixtapes. Like
what, the same mixtape?
Bro, imagine. I've never took one. I've never took one, but he's always there, smile on his face. You know what I mean? I'm like, bro, I gotta give it to you, man. But you need to get on Spotify or something. You know what I mean?
Maybe it's a cover up for something else, bro.
Possibly. I hope not after all these years. You know what I mean? Bloody hell.
He may just be the richest guy in Manchester because of it, bro. You know what I mean?
He walks on the corner and he's got his Beamer parked up. You know what them ones? Talking about mixtapes, bro. We did. I did one for Misha B that was sanctioned by her label when she was doing her first round off the back of X Factor. We did. I was doing her tour DJing, and they did a mixtape which was like instrumentals mixed with some of her original stuff, and then I like mixed and compiled it. There wasn't any shouting on it, but like it was like credited properly and it was mixed that way. Don't know how well that done, but yeah, that was definitely one case that I remember that we done that, and that was signed off by, I think she was with one of the Sony branch offs.
Yeah,
can't remember.
Like I used to get approached loads to do like compilations and stuff, and one like was supposed to happen, got all the way. And then it was just like, I didn't really have creative control of what tracks needed to go on there, because obviously it's a label that's running it. So it was like, I think this one was with Sony. So it had to be more Sony based. Then the way it was mixed, like just was no true representation of how I mix or anything like that.
Yeah.
And I used to get approached by loads and I'd be like, can I mix it? Can I choose the tracks? No, but we'll pay you this. And I was just like, I didn't feel like it was right. Do you get what I mean? Especially coming from growing up and listening to like EZ on Pure Garage, where you know.
I've always wondered how he was allowed to just get away with that, because the labels, when they had the compilations go out, there were very strict rules. Like you have to let a certain song run for an amount of time.
Yeah.
They can't blend, like the mix can't last for longer than such and such. And like EZ,
for real?
Yeah, like loads. And it was all to do with licensing and copyright, basically, that it had to. And I think probably something to do with the rules of how it was done depends on what kind of release it was, whether it was an album or a compilation album and all of that stuff. But then EZ with his ones was just like, oh, wherever, I'm just doing what I want. And it was just...
Yeah, but then probably like with EZ, a lot of the tracks wouldn't have been major label tracks. So
yeah, true stories.
Right, yeah.
True stories.
The politics behind it. Like there was probably tracks that had to be on there and had to be done in a certain way.
Yeah.
But the majority of them would have been like white label stuff anyway. So
that's true. And I was never much of a garage head, but I'm assuming almost all, if not all of it, would have been UK music as well. Yeah. So it would have been just so much easier to get the clearance. Whereas with
even for the compilations that I proposed and that came to me, like a lot of it was UK, then there was a lot of dance stuff on it, then garage, like proper open format. And everyone loved the playlist. Like it even got to the point, I think, what was one called? It was called The Guest List. That was like the one that I had signed for everything. And the track list was sick. And they took it and just run with it. And I was just like, but it wasn't true representation of me. They were like, we can't put your name all over the front of it. We can't do this. We can't do that. I was just like, just do what you're doing, man. Because, I'm getting paid. It's not amazing money, but I'm getting paid. But it just don't make sense for my brand or what I was trying to do at that time.
That's it. Like some people would see that and be like, yo, I'm just going to go for it anyway. But like you say, you don't want to, you don't want to compromise your brand in it. It's not always about getting the bag in it and making the right decision.
Yeah. But even that, like the way I've always done things, say for that, I approached them to do that. I was like, I've got these tour dates ready to go. We'll do the guest list tour, like all over the UK. I had clubs lined up, I had everything lined up. So I'm not even just going to them as me as a DJ creating a compilation and them using my name because I was on Capital at the time. I'm doing it because like I wanted to create a compilation brand. And I live in the clubs and I create events, I do events. Like, then they were like, we need a share of this, we need a share of that. I was just like,
see ya.
People would look at me and think you're mad for not doing it, but nah, not the one.
Kept your integrity. You're a better man than me, because I feel I'd probably be like, yeah.
This guy's got no shame, you know.
I suppose it would depend on how far through a pandemic we were. Given like now,
if it came to me now, cool.
12 months out of the club now, I'd probably consider be like, 80% split, that's fine. But I hear that. I hear you definitely. With going back to the stuff like the early days touring with Tinie then. So at what point did you realize this was becoming like one of the biggest movements in the UK? Because at the time when Tinie bust, UK rap was still underground. Like grime wasn't, I mean, grime had like Sidewinder and stuff like that, but grime was far from mainstream as well. Tinie, other than like you said, N-Dubs were touring and they were massive. So Solid had their time, but I'm struggling to think of any other kind of rapper or anyone from our world that was really making noise like that from the UK. Tinie was pretty much the first
at that time.
Like up until that time. I mean, like
Dizzy did.
Oh, of course, with Dizzy,
Dizzy's an exception.
He definitely did. Other than that, no. And it's like even sad now where these kids here in the UK don't even know who Dizzy is.
Yeah, like, that's mad.
And the legacy and history that he created. Like anyone from grime, anyone from that era when Pass Out was out would look at Dizzy was the one that opened the doors. Do you get what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
But back to your question, I think me personally, I knew it was becoming something because at the time I was working in a school. So I'd like do music lessons and all of that in the school.
Right.
And I knew it was real when I had to lie. It was like I was bunking off on my job in the school. There was like one day I was like, I just told him I'm not coming back. And then it was a show every day. It was like getting picked up every day to go and do a show. Then it started getting real. And then obviously after Pass Out was Frisky, like pretty much straight away.
Yeah.
Then it got even bigger. That just lost out to #1 because of the World Cup or something like that. Then Written in the Stars came, and then that was it. Like,
that's a powerful one. That's a powerful one of tracks, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like when Written came, that's when we all knew. Like it wasn't even a UK thing from then. That was like I think that was still the first year. So this Pass Out was February. Written in the Stars end of the year. We was in Australia in January the following year. Like,
wow.
Right. And what year was that? So that was 2010 or 2011?
2011. I think.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow.
Pass Out was 2010, 2011. Yeah, we was in Australia. And that's even now is like, for me, we'd done like the Malias and all of that year off the back of Pass Out. And then it just become shows, like proper shows. We did the tour straight after that, the first tour. And the thing with Tinie, which I've kind of took into what I do and have done since, he was not afraid to put his money in. Like the first tour, he didn't make a penny.
Right.
And we did like academies, so 800 capacities to 1,000, but we would put in a production of a theatre show. So like a 3,000 capacity. We had like screens, the whole lot at that time.
Mad.
And like them times then I didn't have a clue about production. I wasn't interested. To me, I was just like, let me just DJ before you go on. Like, let me do that and do a show. And then the next tour came, I was like, nah, I need to add to this. Then I started creating the shows. I was doing all the music for him. I would create the visuals. I'd direct the lighting. I'd do absolutely everything to then go.
Oh, snap.
Yeah. And then
he was like creative director then as well, pretty much.
Yeah. So I was MD, musical director and creative director on the first 3 tours.
That's dope.
And then like anything else after that, Tinie wouldn't even come. I'd be like, here's your show, rehearse it, and then we'll just take it out.
That's incredible. That's a great bit of foresight as well, because that's something that you can, if there ever was a time when you don't want to promote anymore and you're done with DJing, that's a job that you can also do later in life for other shows, for like big tours, and you're certified in the tour life. So it's like,
yeah, of course. And I've even now to this day, I've took it more into the club side. So like White, for example, every year I introduce them to the guys that I work with in Ibiza, like the show producers in Ibiza. So for the last 3 or 4 years, the guys from Dubai would come to Ibiza, would sit down and we'd just design their brands for the whole season, how the club's going to look, all the visuals, all the branding, the whole lot. So like I got into being, I wouldn't say I was their creative director, but I created a lot of the brands and the shows that happened in the club. Like you walk in from the lighting, I'd sit with the lighting guy for a week, tell him how to program to certain tracks, to you walking through the door, getting in the lift, design stuff, like everything like that. So I've took it more to a club level than like full on show. And that goes to like IB for everything I've ever done. And I think like I said earlier, I always wanted to have something extra, wear another hat to what I do.
Yeah.
It's like, if I'm doing an event, I'm not just thinking about the artist I'm booking. Like it's got to be an experience. And that I kind of got all of that from doing the tours. If I hadn't done the tours and creating an experience for the thousands of people in the crowd, I would never have done that in the clubs. The
way you talk about it as well, it's like you properly love that side of it on top of like away from the music, like all the design in the shows and that.
And even here, like I was saying to someone yesterday, like I've enjoyed DJing, but in the clubs in Dubai now, I'll play the warm-up set. Give me the warm-up set and I'll host your night or whatever. But I much enjoy controlling the visuals, making sure the lighting works. Like every week at White would have a different kind of theme or show that I would have created and stuff like that. Like that's what I like more than DJing, because I love DJing and I'll always love DJing, but there's just more to it. Like I feel it's more rewarding, especially in Dubai, because everyone's a DJ in Dubai. From 1 a.m. till 3 a.m., any club you go to sounds the same.
Yeah.
So for me, it's like, I'm not coming to Dubai for the substance of DJing. I'm coming to Dubai to create.
With you.
And I think a lot of people don't think that way when that's the only way I think.
Yeah, that's sick. I never even considered that side of it. Like, yeah.
Like even there's, it's geeky, but it's just the way I am. I even
we like geeky on this podcast.
Yeah, that's what we do, but that's why we're here.
Brother, I was always thinking about how to make Tinie show the biggest, sound the biggest, look the biggest on the least amount of money possible. Because I'd be watching how much is being spent on what, even to the point where like we created the system where, remember Serato used to have a Serato bridge with Ableton.
Yeah.
So off the back of that, we created this system, me and a guy who works for Pioneer, where we have tiny stems in Ableton. So the track, keys, drums, bass, all of that in Ableton. And on my Pioneer mixer, which is a MIDI mixer, which many people don't know, the 4 channels, I'd have each one on them channels. So then as soon as I hit play on the CDJ, which is Serato linked to Ableton, it will press play on Ableton. And then I have control over the vocals on the track. So say we're not getting much from the crowd or whatever, I can put his vocal up a bit more.
Right.
Like if the front of house guy, the engineer that we have, wanted to push the bass up, he has control of that, but it is all from CDJs.
Right.
Wow.
So then that evolved into, I click play, the screens go at the same time, lighting goes at the same time, pyro goes off at the same time. So we went from a touring company of like 15 people down to like 4 or 5 to do shows, because everything just stemmed from.
Right.
There's pictures and you'll see I've got like 3 or 4 laptops in the booth.
Please tell me one of them was a backup laptop, right? Please tell me that.
There'd be two laptops running Ableton that would have that. I don't know how it works. This guy's a genius, but as soon as I click play on one CDJ, both of them go.
Right.
And then I'll have one laptop for me to just DJ if I needed to chuck things in and out. And then the other laptop was running the time code for all of the lights and the stuff like that. And that's just me, bro. Anything I think of, or is that possible? I won't
Make
stop
it work.
it can happen.
Yeah. You must have been spitting when they got rid of the Ableton Bridge.
No, because then we took it to Pioneer, and there was a way we did it with Pioneer instead, because all Pioneer stuff, Nexuses, were all MIDI.
Right,
So
okay.
And then I was using the controller, not the controller, the pad, I can't remember what it was called, X2, something. And any button I press would just trigger it. So
okay, so it's just, right, so that just, you assigned the MIDI to the Ableton session, basically, in that
track,
control.
and then just hit it. Like there was the last year in Ushuaia, I thought of this idea to have this, like, the disturbing head talking to the crowd. So like Tinie would be off stage and then the head would just appear on the screen, and it'd be like, we are looking for 3 girls to come up on stage. And the head would talk about, I'd hit this button, and then there would be like 2 sides. One button would say, left side, are you ready? Blah, blah, blah. And then this whole segment of the show where I'm just crouched down underneath the decks, pressing these buttons so Tinie can have a 10-minute break. Right. I was just controlling the show. Like, if we hadn't had the system, that would never be possible. But that's just my head, man. Mad.
That's sick. That's very innovative. Like,
yeah, that's crazy.
Those live shows. Did moving away from like the rap stuff and the more like urban music stuff, when Tinie started doing things with Swedish House Mafia and towards like the dance music side, is that what opened you up to like big production? Because with a lot of dance shows and things, like they're very production and screen heavy, aren't they?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, massively. Like, obviously, so with the Swedish track, that was still in the first year. So imagine there's like 4 hits in the first year that just took us everywhere. And we would go to these, like, we'd go and do Madison Square Gardens with Swedish House Mafia. Mm-hmm. And the production would just be like you've never seen before. So then we brought all of them ideas back and put that into a rap show. Like, yes, we had the dance stuff, but he's a rapper. Do you get what I mean? Yeah. So yeah, inspiration wise, 100%, because they're the biggest shows you'll ever see in your life. Like, no one's touring the way these dance guys are.
No, it's huge.
What track? What would you reckon it was? That Swedish House Mafia joint that opened up, like you say, when you're going out to Australia and going from doing local shows in the UK. What song would you say really broke you guys out to that international audience to like do them shows over the other side of the world?
Written in the Stars for America, 100%.
Okay. Oh yeah.
And then the dance stuff more Asia, the rest of Europe, and like Australia and that. Yeah, definitely South America as well. Like there was one year I was in a hotel in New York more than I was in my own house in that year. Like, I was just based in this hotel. We'd go and do shows. We'd get on a plane 3 times a day. Like, the America run was next level.
Oh.
And it's probably 10 times worse for artists now, but that was like, that broke Tinie. It broke us. It was like, that's why traveling back and forth from Dubai every week was nothing.
That's not that bad.
Right, yeah.
I've done that America run. But yeah, I'd say Written and Miami to Ibiza, definitely.
I remember that Written in the Stars was on the Sky Sports thing for years, bro. Yeah. Obviously, I'm a hardcore football guy, so I just remember that little high note at the end. Every advert break, that must have stacked up. That
did, WrestleMania as well one year.
WrestleMania, mad.
Super Bowl one year was the theme tune. Like, dope. In America, it was huge, man. Everywhere.
Crazy, the publishing on that.
I was about to say that Sky one, bro. I heard that'll be like 10 times a day, you know, primetime football.
Yeah, I know. Pass Out was massive in the Caribbean, and because because what? Pass Out was huge. I mean, okay, I say Caribbean. I'm gonna actually make it more simple. It was huge in Jamaica. I'm going to say it was big in Jamaica. And the reason I know that is because 2011, I went to Jamaica and I was doing a lot of recording and stuff out there. I actually made a dancehall mixtape. And in between some of our sessions, I was chatting with some of the guys out there and I asked them if they knew any UK rappers or UK artists. And the two that they were like, yeah, we know this, was Gappy Ranks. And then they were like, but UK rappers, Tinie Tempah. Tinie Tempah is the man. And then I specifically remember this one Jamaican guy singing Pass Out to me. Like,
But
yeah.
Pass Out's obviously that tune. It has influences from everything. Like,
Bro, it's like every genre.
Every genre.
It's like every genre.
There's a reggae break right in the middle of the tune.
Yeah,
So it's
exactly.
Like, it is a bit mad, and there was remixes for days on it, so it makes sense. But we didn't do no shows in the Caribbean, man. That was the only place we did. Tried to record as many videos as we can there, but just didn't do no shows.
Yeah,
that's probably like the Caribbean and Asia. Really, we didn't do. Like, we did Japan a few times, Malaysia loads. Other than that, like, we did everywhere else, literally.
How were you guys traveling about? Because given at that time, like there genuinely was a time where it felt like Tinie was the biggest artist on the planet, not just the biggest UK artist. It just felt like he was everywhere doing everything. And obviously you were there for all of those shows. So like, how were you guys traveling about? Was it private jets and like proper lavish lifestyle, or was it like minibuses and first class?
It all depends where we are. Like, if you're like the America thing,
yeah,
that was horrible. That was like just normal planes. Bro, sometimes we'll drive for hours. We'd land in places that we never even have heard of. The airport had like one gate, and then you go and do a show. You'll go and do a show to a college that has like 20 people. Like, America was like this. Like, you go from thousands of people, then you'll go to a college that has 20 people. Then Tinie will be put on the spot in a radio station and is like, rap for us, man, rap. Or then you're just like, then you'll
them ones.
Then you'll
give us a freestyle, man.
Yeah, then you'll go to Vegas and have the best time ever. Then you'll drive for 5 hours. Like, so America in that sense was mad. Europe, obviously you fly, but we'd do festivals 2 or 3 a day sometimes. So it was jets at times. Australia, flying business class to Australia. Like, for me, my deal with them with business class was like anything over 7 hours, they had to fly me business.
Has to be comfortable. Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
Got
so
you.
Anything less than that, like, I was in economy.
So you don't want to be turning up to your show and you're absolutely done out. I mean, drained, like, especially more than 7 hours at times is a bit of a long one, but anything over that.
Yeah, I changed that when I realized Dubai was 6 hours away. So then it went to 6 hours. But we did shows like, there was a time we went to Australia for like 18 hours. We was in the air longer than we was in Australia.
Wow.
So you were in Australia for 18 hours.
Yeah. Like, if you're doing stuff like that, you have to be comfortable.
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
there's no way I would have ever been like economy. Not that I'd do economy I'd pay for myself to go economy to Australia.
if someone else is paying.
Someone else is getting the bill.
Like, if that time was like, that was hard. 18 hours, 24 hours to get there, 18 hours on the ground. You're spending most of that time trying to acclimatize to the time difference, and then straight back.
Yeah, the jet lag on them ones must be different, right? Because Australia I've never been personally, the missus has been, but that is far, bro.
Yeah, it's nuts. Like that, we would do Australia. There was a time we did Australia 5 years in a row, and we'd be there for 3 weeks because they'd have a festival run where you do 2 cities a weekend. It's the same festival, but everyone just tours around the whole thing.
Right, okay.
Okay.
So we'd be there, and then on the midweek, we'd have our own tour in like venues and stuff like that. So we did that for like 5 years. But to me, Australia was the best, like, touring. There's no better place to tour than Australia.
Is it?
Because they don't get it. Like, remember, if you've got a hit and you've gone to Australia, they've not seen you. So everything's just new. If you're in England and Tinie's got a show in London, if you wanted to see him, you can go to London, like, realistically. In Australia, you know that one time a year he's going to be there. So it is just nuts.
The gas levels are just different.
Yeah, and that's that festival. Even off the back of that festival, that opened my ears and my eyes to so much. Like that, the first time we did that was about 2012, and they used to have this thing where in between the acts, a DJ booth would come down from the front of the stage, and someone would just DJ. And then a year later, I approached a guy who was running Wireless at the time, and I was like, "Why don't you have DJs?" He was like, "We don't do that." It's like, put a booth on the front of the stage. It don't even need to be seen, whatever, and let me DJ in between the acts. And he done it the first year. I did it for 4 years straight. And then now all the I'm not saying I was the one that did it, but
Charles, he started it off. Come on, just say it.
a lot of people, like a lot of festivals didn't do it. Wireless were definitely the first to do that. And off the back of me doing that the first one was in Olympic Park, like the worst wireless it was in Olympic Park. And then off the back of that,
that one with Jay-Z and Justin?
Yeah.
I went to that one. Mad.
It was just massive, man. It was like it was 15 minutes to get to each stage. But off the back of me doing that and being the DJ in between the acts is how I got my show on Capital. So there was the head of Capital Extra was in the crowd and then hit me up after, and that's how I got that show. So if I didn't get the idea from Australia to do that, take it to Live Nation and do that, I would never have been on radio yet.
Mad. So was you hosting these DJ sets at the time? Obviously for Capital to come knocking on the door, they must have like heard some potential. Obviously with like the mic work and stuff like that.
This is 5 years after me. The word on the mic. Of course, I was hyping the crowd. Then like they were the best times. I'd look forward to Wireless every year, and then I joined One Extra, and Capital Extra were a partner for Wireless, so couldn't do it anymore.
Okay, that's fair.
Oh right, so that's why it stopped then, because of the politics.
Yeah.
I see.
Bro, with you touring so much, like you just said then, you go in Australia and the American tour was like awful and it's up and down and the travel situation's a bit sticky. Like how important is the relationship with like the team around you and like specifically between like you and Tinie, being in each other's space so much, being on the road so much and then having to perform and be on a professional level? How important is that relationship between you guys?
Right, it's like any relationship where it has its ups and downs. There'll be times when we're together for like 3 months straight, and then we'd go home, not even talk to each other. Like, wouldn't even want to see him.
Don't even want to see your face.
And then we'll have a show, and then it's just back to normal again. Like, but we was a small team. It'd be most touring times was me, Tinie as manager, and tour manager, and then crew would just kind of come and go.
Okay.
Like it'd just be the four of us, and I think that's kind of what got us through everything. Like I've seen people tour with 30 people, want to just take their friends everywhere. Like I don't think I would have enjoyed that if Tinie did that with everyone. Like
it's too much, isn't it? It's too much that.
Because you'll find yourself trying to please them. Then you want to do this. Like, don't get me wrong, we did it and we brought our friends along when it was right. Like Ibiza, we made sure we'd get a nice villa and we'll do that. If we've got like a solid run, you can't do that, man. It's just not, because they even when I used to do my bookings, like my own bookings, and I'd bring my friends along, it got to the point where I'd be like, last flight out, first flight, like first nearest flight to my booking, first flight out, and my friends would be like, I'm not coming no more, man. You don't even want to go and enjoy it.
now they see what it's really like. Now they see it's not like holidays and going out and it's mad. You touch down, do the show, and then fly back out again.
But I've always had this thing where I don't like taking people to my gigs. Like, I don't know what I like to be able to focus on my job. And I'm kind of like what Charlesy just said. I'm kind of in and out, man. Like, I think when I first came through, bring all the boys, bottles on deck, get yourself a table. Now I'm just kind of like, first flight back, man, if possible. Do you know what I mean? I'm kind of the same way.
When the time's right, like, do it. And like new places, if I'm going to somewhere new, 100%, like I want to experience it. I want to do everything. But touring with Tinie, I've been to most places, and a lot of the bookings came off the back me being in the club with Tinie. So then it was like, as long as them times they were looking after me, taking us for a nice dinner, do my show, get the first flight out, man. There was what am I doing there? I just end up spending money.
Yeah, exactly. That's why, like with all the overseas stuff I've done, I've had exactly the same mentality. Like, I don't want to sit and chill for a week. As nice as it would be, I'm in work mode. So I'm coming out, let's do the show, and then fly back. Like, I remember I did Greece, and I was in Greece for like 6 hours. So not quite as good as the 18 hours in Australia story. I prefer that.
No, that's not good, bro. Nothing at all good about that. But yeah, I just think like, and if it is a summer and there's a few spots that I'd go to, yeah, I'd see if they can pay a couple of days extra hotel or extra couple of rooms or whatever, just to bring my friends. But if it depends on the booking as well. If it's a booking where they'll cover through flights, then I'll make the most of it so that my friends ain't got to spend any money. But if it's like, normally I'd have 2 flights, me and tour manager or friend, just in and out, man. Because we just end up spending. Mad.
Don't rinse the wallet out, mate. I feel like we've fully jumped in here. Like normally we try and go back and like get a bit of like a backstory. Everybody kind of knows like the main parts of like the stuff that's been put out in the public for your career and stuff. But how did like Charlesy come around in the first place? Like, have you always been into music as the DJ and always been something that you've wanted to do? And how did you even get into this like line of career in the first place, man?
Like in my family, music is like huge. Like even before I was born, big family music businesses.
Got you.
My brother DJs, so he like from when he's 4 years older than me, so he was DJing from like 14, 15 years old, turntables. So I was just there, like I was constantly around it. And then kind of, I knew I had I had to do something in music. Like that was just the path I was always going to take. And then kind of left school, walked straight into a job where I was running a club in East London. And then off the back of that, just DJing events. And then the rest was history from there, really. Like, but yeah, you know, like.
You know, innit? Yeah. I was gonna say.
And I think if my brother wasn't a DJ, I probably wouldn't be a DJ, but I'd have some sort of something in the music industry. Like my aunt was massively a part of labels. My uncle's like big singer, very big.
Who's your uncle?
You don't want to. He's not.
Who's your uncle?
Bro, we've not. How did we not know? I don't even know who's going to say, but we should know this, right? If we've done our research properly. Awful.
Billy Ocean.
What?
Your uncle's Billy Ocean.
Yeah.
Wow.
Mad thing.
So that's
wow.
My Max phone. One sec. Yeah.
Wow.
So
I had no idea, man. That's crazy.
Yeah. It's not really like he's him in it. Let me create my own.
Yeah. I hear that. It's not about Billy.
Yeah. So it was just the whole family. We just knew. Like my little cousin now, he's an agent at Echo.
Okay.
And has been for a while. Like the family's just musical, so I just knew there was something in it. Is
your brother? You said your brother's a DJ, and you've also mentioned your brother's relationship with Twin B in the past. So is your brother someone that we all know?
No, he like back in the day, he was fully on the circuit, like big in the garage scene, and then he just kind of fell out of love with it. And then he was in Dubai for a few years as well, DJing.
Right. What's his DJ name?
Haynes.
DJ Haynes. Okay.
Oh, snap. Yeah, we've got each other on Instagram, man. You guys are doing a podcast together for a little bit, right?
Yeah.
Sick.
Yeah.
No way, man.
Yeah, so he fell out of love with it then. And I think like in the area, everyone was like, my brother's a DJ, he's the big DJ, he's the one who's going to come out. And then he fell out of love, and then I was just like, thank you.
Sliding in there.
Right through, picked up the decks and ran with it.
Straight in.
Love that.
Like our house back in the day when we was like kids was the place. Like our bedroom was, me and him would have to book slots of who's going to bring their friends to be on the mic, and like, it was just that place. Like in the estate, Twin would be there. The older lot then would come, my crew, MCs, and it was just like, I just can't see that being the vibe anywhere anymore. Like I can't see these kids growing up having that. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah.
Remember all the MCs coming around to the crib? We used to do it before school, bro. Like all the MCs would come around to the yard, 8 a.m. The turntables were on, garage, all the dudes are spitting bars, and then we'd go to school 9:15 late. Like it's not built like that anymore, is it, man?
Nah, man. And that's like, and I think looking back now, that kind of what molds you as a DJ as well. Like coming through, I'm all for kids learning to DJ and coming through, but you have to kind of have some sort of investment into this, like, or come from it to really be passionate about it.
Real talk.
Yeah, definitely.
And it's visible to see who hasn't and who is. Do you get what I mean?
Mm-hmm. 100.
But it's not a bad thing. And I think DJing is becoming easier for people with the technology. So not complaining.
What kind of music was you playing back then, bro? Was you on the garage tip as well?
Straight garage, yeah.
I feel like it's mad to say. Blakey said the same thing last week. Like all those early garage heads, man. I think Dubl was the only one that didn't mess with garage.
Yeah, I didn't like garage. My older sister liked garage, but I was never really into it.
Garage was the wave back then, man.
Like, even now, like if I get the chance to play it, I'll play it anywhere I can. Like I've created an event, a brunch here, and it's just garage, and people are going nuts for it, and it's the best, man. I don't care what anyone says.
It's just that nostalgic feel, man. It doesn't go away when you hear garage. Like it just, I don't know, man. Like the music it just never. It always feels, you know what I mean? It's like that old 90s R&B. I feel like garage kind of sits in that pocket where it never dies. You know what I mean?
made sure even all my radio shows, like massive part of my shows were garage, and whether it new or old, like it was me, and it still is me. Like, and when I talk about, I don't like playing the main sets here as much. I play the warm-ups. I'm not playing garage, but like me going to play all the new hip-hop stuff and all of that, I'll play it because that's what people want, but that's not my passion. Do you get what I mean?
I hate it, bro. It's so relatable, this, man. See, I feel like it's always the more experienced dudes that have been around the block that always say, I prefer the warm-up than doing... Yeah. Anyone can do it. Well, not anyone, but most people can do a main set shellers. Do you know what I mean? It's like warm-up, you can kind of piece a different kind of set together, and like you say, you're more passion in there.
And this is what I said, like, even when I was booking for the last year in Ibiza, like I'd book DJs to come and play, and I'd be like, play the warm-up set. Don't play the main set. You'll enjoy the warm-up set. Blah, blah, blah. They're like, no, let me play the main set. And then they'll come see I played the warm-up or whatever. And because the event was literally straight after Ushuaia finished, like from Ushuaia finished at 11, people crossed the road into High. We've got 3,000 people in the venue straight away. And I was like, you'll enjoy the warm-up set. There will be thousands of people in there. People were just like, nah. And then a few DJs did it, and they were like, it's the best set they've played.
Yeah.
Sick.
And it's just because you get to play what you want, like, and vibe, and people actually prefer it.
Yeah. And you can finish early as well.
And just
get your set done, finish early, party.
It's less pressure as well, man. I feel like it's less pressure as well, bro. Like the main set, you want it jumpy, but like on the warm up, you can breathe a little bit, think about your selections a little bit more, and just enjoy the moment. Sometimes when you do them big peak sets, it goes so quick, man. You don't even get to take that in sometimes. Like some of my biggest gigs, I don't remember them.
Obviously, like playing at them type of venues where you may never play there again. Like I get it, and I'm all for it. And I was the same when I was trying to force my way into Ushuaia at them time. But at the same time, like, I don't think that first gig I played at Ushuaia, I think it was for Nervo, and they give me 1 hour to play R&B and hip hop. First time it's been played in Ushuaia. I don't remember one thing about the set. So I can't even say I enjoyed that set because I don't remember it. And I don't know whether it's because it was such a big thing for me, but I will remember the warm-up set I played the next time I played at Ushuaia much more than like that first set there. And I
did alcohol play any part in you not remembering that one? Like,
I don't know, bro. I used to drink, like, it used to be a massive part of me drinking whilst DJing.
Yeah.
Like tiny shows, we'd go for a bottle of JD each on stage back in the
What?
day.
Wow. No wonder man's calm. No wonder he's calmed down now.
Like, even so, I don't know, man. Like, I would drink a lot during shows, so I'd remember them all. I know the best shows. I know the ones I've enjoyed the most. So I wouldn't say alcohol was the reason why I didn't remember.
I feel like that's a recurring thing, that alcohol with the DJs, man. Like we speak to so many, and I don't really do it as much anymore, but just getting a little bit, just loose, it helps you loosen up a bit, man. Like, and I feel like my selection and my thought process runs a bit smoother and quicker when I got a bit of liquor in me.
Yeah.
Don't know if anyone else can agree with that or not, but obviously
there's
a level. If you go over that, it can go down the other way very quick.
I've managed to get to the point where I'm like, I'll have one drink before I start, one drink during, and then that's it.
Okay.
So like I've just leveled. I'll get to that peak, and then I'm all right. Like I don't even.
I can't do just one drink. For me, it's like I'm drinking.
It's all in or nothing.
or I'm not drinking. Like for me, I'm just, I'm getting drunk or I'm not drinking basically. But yeah, I think Sty, what you said, I don't think for me anyway, when I'm drunk, my DJ sets don't get smoother. I just give less of a fuck. Basically, like I just care a lot less. Whereas like sober, I might go and do again. Actually, no, I haven't done a sober guest set somewhere for a long time. But like I'll be playing somewhere, and if I'm sober, I will have more of a mind on. I need to make sure I keep them on the dance floor. So how do I do that? If I'm drunk, it's like, what do I want to hear? They might dance to it, they might not. I don't care because I'm going to hear it. Like that's the vibe I'm on when I'm drunk.
Yeah, I remember in Scotland, bro, when you was waved last time in Edinburgh, and this guy went on the craziest Afrobeat set I've heard. Next, man, a break dance, man. We're doing a back to back. I'm like, bro, this is all you, man. Dude, I'll take the mic. Do your thing, man. A break dancing. People are. I'm thinking, what? What is going?
Yeah, see,
Dubl turned into an animal that night.
That was an amazing show. So that was so much fun, bro. So much fun. And again, when I came to Manchester, got absolutely smashed. And from what I can remember, it was a Shellers.
Yeah, it was all right.
That's my perspective on it anyway.
I've not booked Dubl again since that day.
No one's booked me since that day, mate. But no, the funny one is when you check your Serato playlist the next day and you're like, I don't remember playing that. Like,
yeah, that used to happen a lot, and especially the end of the set when you're completely waved, and then you've chucked in like Peter Andre. Like, what went through your head? Why did you do that? Like,
it's when you see two songs that are so far away from each other, and you're like, how did I get from here to here? What is going on?
Especially when you check your pocket and no one's paid you to play that either. It's like,
there's end of the set. I had that on Saturday. I did a live stream on Twitch and got smashed. And looking through my track selection on Sunday, I was like, there's a good like 40 minutes. I don't remember playing those songs.
On Twitch?
I couldn't get like that. I couldn't get like that, man. Like, I just think if I got too drunk, I don't think I've had. Maybe I've tried to, and this just never happened. But I don't know. I don't think I could get that drunk.
You've built up that tolerance.
I was about to say,
doing a whole bottle of JD per show, that gives you like an
immunity.
That's like an invincibility against alcohol if you're drinking that much JD. With me, I'm not a regular drinker, and so that's why I say when I drink. But what I really mean is I have 5 drinks and it's like game over. Like I'm done. But like
before lockdown, I was pretty tolerant. I could handle it, but I had a drink the other night doing a stream. I only had a couple of cheeky shots, bro. I was hurt for 2 days, man. I'm like, I cleansed my whole body in lockdown. I didn't drink for like a whole year. Obviously, as a DJ, not drinking for that long is quite rare.
That was me during lockdown, and then went back to work. And obviously, it's hot. Like I'm playing at White, so it's outdoors. One shot, that was it, boy.
One shot, yes, love that.
Gone. Like I can't do shots. If I mix my drinks now, it's game over. I just have to drink one drink and that's it.
Have you ever had to do any like seriously long journeys on a horrendous hangover after a tour, or like after a big show?
They are any kind of flight on it after a big turn up is awful.
Yeah, I've done like majority, but then as soon as like,
which can't say majority, you know, a high percentage.
As soon as you get to like, you're in the dressing room, getting ready again, had another drink, that's it. Like you just forget that's even happened.
Right.
Loads of like the tours were doing that, and we would just drink, and then hungover, get into the venue, whole new lease of life. Let's go again.
See, that's where I'm going wrong, because I would never have that many shows like one day after the other. At my busiest, when I was doing summer stuff, it would be like 2 or 3 days and then I'm flying out again. So that's where I've got like the 2 days at home festering in a hangover before I've got to repack the suitcase.
Well, that could be all different now. There's a few shows in the calendar for the summer. I'm worried about even putting a drink to my mouth.
Oh my days, man.
Me now in Dubai drinking is 2 days. I need 2 days to recover. So I don't know what's going to happen when we get back.
It's definitely double day hangovers now, man. I think the older you get, the more it's collateral damage, man. That shit hurts. Isn't it?
Especially when you got to get up with kids and they jump on you, bro. That's
True stories.
Yeah.
How many little ones have you got, Charlesy?
2.
Just you got 2, yeah. Mad, yeah. So
Yeah.
balancing that whole DJ life, the events, touring, little ones, and the wifey, like you got a lot on your plate, man.
Yeah, bro. That's why I'm just creating what I'm creating here to hopefully just be settled and done. Not done, but like home.
Got you.
Like even what I was saying it to someone the other week. Like I've been on the road for 10 years straight before Corona hit. Like on the road, maximum I've been in one place in my own house was probably 3 weeks in 10 years. Like at one time. So then to be now in Dubai and not travel for a year, like I'm home. Do you get what I mean? Like,
is this the first time you've been comfortable then in 10 years, would you say? Like where you can actually settle properly?
100%. Like we've got a house in England that we bought and I don't see it as home.
Okay.
When being here, this is home because I've been settled. I've never been settled the way I'm settled now. So you
see yourself staying there, Charlesy, or like do you think the UK would be a thing, or is that are you out now?
I'm done, bro.
Ah, fair.
I'm done. Like
he's got his holiday home in England, so
yeah, I'm done. Like I'm in the process of opening like this kind of hub where there's music studios, podcast studio, DJ studios,
Sick.
All in one place here.
Okay.
So like that's what's gonna just keep me here now. So like once that gets up and running, it's really close to happening. Well, it's happening, but it's really close to start the build. Then I'll work on like events off the back of that. Hopefully have a record label, all the talent that's here. So like my thing is to create what I would have always wanted to do in the UK here.
Okay. That's super dope, man. What's the DJ community like in general in Dubai? Like do the DJs kind of move around each other? Like I know you just mentioned then everyone's kind of a DJ now. Like what's the general DJ vibe like amongst the community? Like does everyone get along?
Not even starting to, they are, but like there's a lot of old school DJs that were here first that are very cliquey. Like
Got you.
We are this group of DJs, we are this. When like the new school of DJs that are coming through, they haven't gone through that, they're not a part of that, so everyone's kind of gelling a bit more. Like the concept I'm talking about, I'm going to create here, if I tried to do that 4 or 5 years ago in Dubai, not happening.
Okay.
Right.
Because no one's like willing to kind of be, not even in the same room, but no one's
not embracing each other.
Yeah. Like us in England, we know we can, like, if I came to Manchester or you see I was playing in Manchester, or you would reach out or I would reach out to you to come down or whatever. Like in Dubai, that's just not a thing, but it's starting to become a thing.
Right.
Like if anyone's playing anywhere, yeah, come. Like people will hit me up all the time to come down, but the old school DJs, they're not interested, man.
Not when they're in it like that.
I guess their party days are probably done though, to be honest. Like, and I don't mean they're done, but I mean they're probably in the mentality that they want to go in, do the set, and then once they finish the set, they cut and go home and like start the next stage. You know what I mean? Whereas the younger guys are probably like excited to bounce around the nightlife, go to 5 different spots in the night and have a drink up at every single one and that kind of stuff.
It's that, but it's also more on the basis of like a lot of the clubs like want you to be exclusive. Some of them don't even want you to go to see other DJs. Some of them won't even like, they'll let the DJ in, but they won't like entertain them. Like,
got you.
For me, anyone who comes to the places I play at, like I'll get you looked after when other places may not be able to do that. So a big part of it isn't just the DJs, it's the clubs, it's this. And remember here in Dubai, if you wanted to come out here, realistically, you're looking for a residency. So if you've got a residency, you then can't really play anywhere else.
Right.
And then that club has you on their visa. That club probably pays for your apartment or whatever. So they've kind of got a bit of a hold over you, which trickles through to the politics of like people kind of not being connected as DJs. I want to create this space where anyone can come there and just be there. Like there's DJ suites. There's going to be like a cafe area that people can just come and work from. it'd be a lot more social and creating that, like, say I want to create the vibe of a DJ City link up, but every day.
Okay, like a proper hub.
Right.
Yeah. And that's what's missing. And not even just on a DJ level, but like singers, dancers, producers, the whole lot. This will just be, because there isn't one, this will be like...
Is that the first of its kind then? That's going to be the first one out there?
Pretty much, yeah, pretty much. There's probably spaces like studios and stuff, but it's just a studio on its own. There's not a one-stop shop. Like, think even if you had like Pirate Studios in the UK, imagine there was a space within Pirate Studios that people can just go to.
That would be sick still.
Like that, it would work, and people, like, shit would get done. There would be relationships would happen. People would end up working with each other. Like, that's what I want to create here. So that's kind of the plan of where I'm at with everything.
Sounds like you got the timing perfect as well. Like you say, people are starting to embrace each other a little bit more. And by the time you roll this out, you're probably going to hit like the spot perfectly, man, by the sounds of it.
And it's, brother, I've had the idea for about 2 to 3 years to do it here. But if COVID hadn't hit, I probably wouldn't even be doing it. So it's like, even that timing has come at the right time.
So
but
what's the... Sorry, go on.
No, go on.
I was going to say, what's the process of getting that done then? You said you're close to starting the build. So you're actually building the thing. The building. You're not renting a space to put it in. You're actually
no.
From scratch.
I'm renting it's a warehouse. So I'm renting a warehouse.
Right, okay.
Building inside of it. So it's an empty space at the minute.
Okay, and how complicated is that to do in Dubai? Because obviously you're going to have to find like the contractors to do it, the right builders. Is it a case like, do you have to find a local person to do business with for it to be allowed, or like how complicated is it?
Got to get investors firstly,
right?
which hasn't been easy, but pretty much there. And then once you've found like the space, you have to get a license, you have to get a trade name, then you have to get approvals for everything to be built. Like at the minute, it's just an empty space.
Right.
And I'm building a mezzanine floor for all the studios to go on the top. That's going to take like a month to get the approval for. Then contractors have to come in. Then once it's done, they have to come in and make sure the place is the same as what I've got the license for.
Okay.
So if there's anything off what I'm saying, what I'll be operating as, then you may have to start again or whatever. Then that takes time. Then you have to buy the license after that. And then every year you have to renew your license. Like it's a long process.
Right.
Like mad long. It's not as easy as England. Like if you had a warehouse, do what you want in it, open.
Yeah.
It
sounds like a similar. Yeah, so it sounds like a similar process to the UK. Because if you were doing that as a public space in the UK, you'd have to get planning permission. You'd have to get all sorts of like surveys done and stuff. So,
but I mean, you wouldn't like here. You can't really mix activities of business. So like if I wanted to open music studios, I probably wouldn't be able to sell clothes in there or have it as a fashion place because it's two different activities.
Right.
When in England, you could get away with doing that.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Do you get what I mean? I probably couldn't have like a barber shop within there because it's a mixture of activities.
Right.
So that's where it's like a lot of red tape in Dubai.
All right, I see.
When do you expect this to be done then, bro? Like anytime soon or?
September, October finish.
Oh, snap. So not even that far away.
Yeah. Plan is August, but definitely to be up and running by September, October.
Okay.
Nice.
So,
yeah, it's a bit mad because I haven't really told too many people, but I'm now in the process of talking to people about it because everything's signed off. So this is
did we just get an exclusive then or what? Get a DJ CHARLESY exclusive on the pod.
Yes.
We'll get a message like, can you take that bit out, please, lads?
Definitely not. But even like, and obviously with podcasts and stuff, there's a big part of like, there'll be a podcast studio within where you can do audio and visual. And here, podcasts are starting to be massive. Like,
yeah, I was going to say, you probably need 1 or 2 or maybe 3 podcast studios the way that it's going.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So it's everything just seems the right timing. And I think like over the Christmas period, every artist was here, like, as you know. and I would get a call daily saying, "Can you put us in the studio? Can you put us in the studio?" Like, Stormzy was here. He was like, this was September time. I need a studio. I had to put him in some guy's bedroom to record a verse for Burna Boy. Like,
wow.
And there's studios here, but they're so like, and good studios, but they're not being used the way we would use a studio. Like, they'd have all the best technology, but it'd be booked out for a whole day to do voiceovers.
Oh my
like,
days. What a waste.
And then it's a classic Dubai thing where you go into it and it just looks like they've spent stupid money, but you don't feel like it's authentic. Like, I want to bring that vibe of me traveling everywhere, going into studios with Tinie or whatever into this. Do you get what I mean? So it's going to feel like, hopefully, and fingers crossed, there becomes a bit more of a culture from it in Dubai.
Okay.
Like, it becomes a place where people are a bit more, let's go there because you don't know who's going to come out of the studio, and then I might be able to do that. Or you get a designer who's uses Photoshop. Let me go there because someone might need an album cover. Like, that's what's needed, and it's not here. And that's kind of what excites me the most about the project, because I've been coming here and I'm always on my laptop working from different places, but I've never felt comfortable in a place or seen a place that like-minded people are at. Like, if you go to London, you go to Shoreditch House, you're guaranteed to bump into someone that is within the industry.
Yeah.
So, and that's not here. And that's like the plan and the goal. This
could genuinely be like a real game-changing venture for that portion of the world, because like LA is like that in America. I feel like LA, there's loads of spots like that, and that's kind of the vibe. Like you say, London, Shoreditch House is the spot, and now like for Dubai, with there being nothing there, this really could change the game.
And even like I book all the artists for White, I book all the artists for like F1 and stuff like that. And there's 2 questions they ask me. Can you get me weed? No, definitely not in Dubai. And can you put us in the studio? Like, we want to finish the club and go to a studio. So it was like, why don't I just have my own? And regardless of if it was as big as what I'm saying, there was always a plan to open a studio of some sense.
Right.
But this is like, and where the location is nuts. Like, you'd never think you're in Dubai.
Oh, snap.
So, yeah. Mad thing, bro.
That's the thing. You can have all the tech and all the stupid, like you say, the studio could be super lit, but you can't pay for that, like, authentic, like, good vibe and energy when you go into a spot. And it sounds like that's what you're trying to, like, hone in on, instead of just having all the fancy stuff, but you go in there and it don't feel authentic. And
it's like, we would walk into a place and know straight away if we feel comfortable in it.
Mm-hmm.
And if that vibe isn't there, then I'm doing something wrong. And that's the most important thing. And even like the biggest part of it was trying to create something that I think what a lot of people are thinking now, that is COVID proof, like something that will still survive during COVID. Like right now, no DJs have an outlet. If I had the DJ studios open, everyone would be streaming or twitching from the studios.
Yeah.
So is all that stuff closed now, Charles? Like, is there no DJ things open where people can go and record? Pirate is like, I think Pirate's open in the UK.
Yeah, Pirate's open still.
And like my spot, like I have like a podcasting DJ thing, and we're allowed to stay. We're allowed to be open too.
We don't have anything like it.
Okay.
There's on the DJ side of things, there's no way you can go and just set up and play.
Got you.
Like, nowhere in Dubai. There's a few, like, the equipment's not there, so it don't make sense. But that's a massive thing for me. And you got to think the people that come to Dubai, and there's thousands of DJs in Dubai. You got to think every hotel has 2 or 3 bars that need a DJ. But these DJs probably live in a marina in an apartment. They ain't got to set up. The only time they're going to play is when they're in their clubs.
Oh.
So this is like that's another part that excites me. And there's a good partnership cooking with Pioneer for it as well. So it's like, just need to create this hub, bro.
No, that's dope.
When you guys come and you do a Talkover special edition in my studio as well.
There we go. Yes.
It's on, bro. It's on. Yeah, you never know. I might be living there in 6 months, mate. I'm telling you, because I'm trying to get out of here, bro. I've got like this, like I have a little hub here, and we do DJ podcast rentals, but it's a shipping container. It's on a yard with like 200 shipping containers, and they're all like small businesses. It's like affordable business space. So I've just like flipped mine. It's only on a small scale, and it's just really for like the people that are within my immediate circle rent it and use it. It's not really anyone in the public can kind of use it. So I can see like what you're trying to do on a bigger scale for someone that doesn't have it. Like that's super unique, man. I'm excited for you, bro. That's dope.
It's not even like, to me, that everything we've just said there is what we have access to and can touch. And to me, that's the easier bit to get people to come to. But I'm thinking like 15-year-olds. I'm thinking this producer that is in secondary school, he's at home on a laptop, no experience of a studio, come in, plug and play and do it. Like they're the people I'm thinking about.
Okay.
And then younger kids, brother, we're in Dubai. Remember, every parent, these Arabic people in Dubai, they want their kids to be stars. Like this would be the place. So that's my head. I'm not even thinking about us because it's just, that's what we use and we'll go there. I'm thinking like accessible to everyone that needs it. Like singers that have no outlet, just come and record.
Yeah.
Some of it, they can create content as well, like good quality, like you say, having the right backdrop and stuff. It's not always easy to get hold of.
Yeah, no, exactly.
I never actually considered that there's young people in Dubai, which sounds like the dumbest thing to say, but think about this. I've never been, and my only exposure to it's either through DJs' Instagram stories or music videos. So I know there's deserts, that there's quad bikes everywhere that everyone's driving. I know there's massive hotels. I don't know there's sick clubs. And I never even considered that there's actually like normal people just living there, families and like young people who are locals. It never crossed my mind.
But it doesn't, and it doesn't cross people's minds. And that's the good thing about it. Like, brother, you got to be 21 to go out here.
Right.
And in England, when you're 18, you go straight out. So there's a massive gap between 18 and 21-year-olds here that are into what we're into, but they can't go and do that we do.
Right.
But they're here. They like the music. Like, I want to do shows where, okay, I'll book this artist that white, for example, but that's over 21. I want to then do a small pop-up show in my venue, no alcohol, that these 18-year-olds kids can come to.
Right.
Because they also want to see the same artist.
Yeah. So those kind of events are allowed then, I guess, just for the same way that just don't sell them alcohol.
Yeah. The difference is like, they're not cheap artists and they have to make money on alcohol. But if I'm the one booking the artist anyway, come and just do a surprise pop-up show for me here.
Right.
Like all of this stuff is what I'm thinking to do. So that's the plan. But yeah, kids are here, bro. All kids are here. My kids are here.
Obviously, with you having little ones as well, Charles, you're like, what's the setup? Like, is it like obviously putting kids in schools and stuff? Like, was that a little bit daunting at first coming from the UK out there? Or I hear the education stuff is pretty decent out there. Is that right?
It's not daunting. It's just expensive.
Wow. Okay. I got you.
That's it. Like school, my kids go to an English school, so it's like same year 1, year 2, all of that, same curriculum, nothing changes.
Okay, that's dope.
Yeah.
So I guess that the children that are around them and their friends from school are all children of expats then that all just live out there, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Like even where we live, it's a massive expat community. Like it's just easy, bro. And obviously when you first come here, you'll get sucked into that marina lifestyle, downtown and all of that. But there's communities where you don't need to even be that, and you can feel like you're more at home than being in Dubai.
I got you.
Right, okay.
You know what I mean? And I think if we went, because I lived here before and I was in a marina and I just like, I was better off just staying in London.
With you. Yeah, I did the marina thing last year and I was like, as beautiful as it is, I couldn't imagine actually living on the marina full time would be a little bit different.
Yeah, it's like, and that's when people say like there's no culture, there's no soul in Dubai. But if you're in that, of course there isn't. Like how you're living in somebody else's.
It's like being on Instagram all day. It's just like 3D Instagram.
Like there's been here a year and there's places that I've not even gone to because like, why am I going now? I've got all of this other stuff around me.
Yeah.
And that's what people forget. But you you'll see on my Instagram is completely different to other people's vision of Dubai on when they're here in Dubai. So it's like, it's a great place, man.
How long did it take you to like settle in? Like you say, you get there, you get gas, you do the marina life, you're out partying kind of thing. Well, at what point did you realize, oh, I'm just gonna kind of settle in here and move to a quiet area of Dubai? Like, how long did it take for that novelty to wear off on you?
Well, I think because I was always back and forth, I done a novelty then.
Okay,
and then
got you.
When I was in the marina, it was only because it was cheap. I did it. But this time around, like, there was not one bit of me that was ever going anywhere near that. Like, it just wasn't a part. And you'll see, anyone you speak to here in Dubai, their first year will be there and then they'll move out.
Right.
With you.
Like,
it's like rite of passage.
Yeah, and you have to, like, and you would have spent all that money there, you would have gone out every night, and then you just go back to what you know. Because it's not cheap either.
No, Dubai's not cheap, man.
You're not paying tax, but it's not cheap.
I feel like all the money goes on flipping food, bro. Most of my money goes on food out there. Like I eat so Dubai's. Oh my god, the food out there is different levels, man. Oh my god, yeah. Most of my bro. I was eating like a king out there last time. I just remember checking my bank statements when I got home and I was like, bro, how have I spent all that on food? Literally. Yeah. Mad.
Here's a joke, and that's you eating out. Like, food even to cook at home is expensive.
Yep. Spinny's rinsing me out.
It's all relative, I guess, because the income out there's more, isn't it? Similar to Australia as well. Australia, the living wage in Australia is a lot more than the UK, but the cost of everything is a lot more than the UK as well. So I guess it's all relative, right?
Australia is nuts. Australia is mad expensive.
Mm-hmm.
But then, like, we'd do shows in like Norway or like Scandinavian countries where it is ridiculously expensive, and then they would say to us, "London's so cheap."
Wow.
Yeah.
You just go to these places. London is not cheap at all.
Yeah.
Because they're so expensive there, they see London as cheap. Like me now, if I went back to London, I would see things as a lot cheaper than being here. 100%.
Okay. You mentioned earlier, bro, about like any potential resident DJs out there. They get picked up by like the one venue, and they'll kind of like look after them, pay for like their like apartment or like a food allowance or whatever. Do you get many people coming out and trying to do like a freelance thing from the off? Like, obviously, for someone like me, if I was to try and come out there, what would be the best way to try and like maneuver? Is the residency the best bet, and then clearing that off, and then obviously being released to go and do your thing, or?
He's trying to figure out his pattern from early.
Bro, listen, I got to ask these questions. I've got the guy on, so what better person to ask? You know what I mean?
Like, look at someone like Scotty, who's, we'll all say now, he's probably the best technical hip hop DJ out there. Like, he's got himself into a position, and I've just started a podcast, and he was on it yesterday as well.
Okay.
We had the same conversation, and he was like, I said to him, you've changed the game in Dubai for people that are going to play at different clubs. Like, he's not on no one's visa. He's got his own visa. He's done it all his way, but he's positioned himself in a way where he can play anywhere, any night of the week.
Okay.
When a lot of the other DJs are stuck with their groups, or they can't really go and play there because I've got the visa with this guy or whatever. It's definitely harder to play around the whole circuit.
Got you.
But at the same time, it's not easier, but it's safer to have a visa with someone, to have your apartment paid for and all of that. So
right, okay.
My advice would be,
get a residency.
Find a friend and stick with them.
If you've got stuff locked in from before you come here, then yeah, do it. But if you're coming here, you're going to get to that point where you're probably like, I need to get a residency.
Scotty's managed to do it over probably about 10 years, though, to be fair, isn't it? He's been back and forth and doing different bits out there. And I think at one stage he did have a residency with a club, and now he's doing things independently. Like, it's not something he just did from the start, I don't think.
Yeah, and I think like the white group that I work, I've been with them for 8 years. So it's like, I wouldn't even go and think about playing anywhere else. But if I did, I think I'd be in the same position as what Scotty has, because I've kind of got myself in a position where people will come to see me play, or people know what I can do. So clubs, it wouldn't matter me playing club to club.
Right,
Scotty's put himself in the same position. There's a few other DJs that do it as well. Devon definitely is in that position now, but that's based on what he's proved himself before. Do you get what I mean?
Got you.
Like, you know, he knows how to work any club in Dubai, because and that's the thing, bro. Dubai to me is the hardest place to DJ.
Why would you say that is, Charlesy? Like the crowd, I feel like the crowd's it's a tougher crowd.
Yeah, because you've got to think, like, especially on my side of things where I play at White, it's such a diverse crowd. Like, you will never see so many different people in one place. So you can't just go in there thinking this is what I'm going to play, this is how I'm going to play it, because every night is completely different. The only times it probably isn't is when there's an artist booked. If there's an artist booked, say Future's booked, you know that crowd are there and they like what Future like, so you can play to that. But any other night, it's not easy. Like, and that's me talking from playing at White. Other clubs may be different because they're smaller and they've got different crowds or niche crowds that are coming for that specific thing. But I think if I hadn't traveled the way I traveled, playing at White wouldn't have been as easy and enjoyable as what it is.
Okay.
And that's why I say it's the hardest place to play in Dubai.
Did you struggle to get your name separated from Tinie's, in a sense of there would have been a time where you're just Charlesy, Tinie's tour DJ, but then it felt like now, I mean, it is the case that now you're DJ Charlesy. It's kind of like the fact that you're Tinie's tour DJ is an added bonus, but it's not the headline of your name. Do you know what I mean? So you're getting booked off your own back now.
Radio did that, I think, more.
Right, okay.
Before radio, it was definitely Tinie Tempah's official DJ everywhere. Like, even in Dubai with these guys that I work with. And then Dubai radio kind of was like, it's DJ Charlesy now. And I was in no rush to shake that off. Like, because if Tinie's popping and
it's a good affiliation, man.
It's not a bad thing, yeah, of course.
And especially like on a international level, like I'd be DJing all over Europe whenever I wanted to. Like, I'd just be to my agent, "Oh, can you get me gigs at this time?" And it would be me being Tinie's DJ that sold it.
Right.
Okay.
And then it was like, you do that for a couple of years, and then I was going back to these clubs just playing, and they weren't even booking me as Tinie's DJ. Then it's like, I'm a person that will go into anywhere, and like, even the relationship with the White guys, Tinie did their first year opening, and he done the show. As soon as the show's done, where's the GM? Where's the owner? Business cards. As soon as I leave there, messaging them the whole lot, so that I can come back and play. Whether Tinie falls off or whatever, I am still going to be relevant to these guys. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's just how, like, I was able to shake off the Tinie's official DJ thing. Like, now no one even, I guess because Tinie's not really doing too much, but I will still get booked as me, as Charlesy now. So
yeah.
And Ibiza did that as well, what I was doing in Ibiza.
With the Ibiza stuff, was it ever difficult? Because it used to just be kind of like house music everywhere and then twice as nice once a week, basically. But then
twice as nice, obviously, that was the first. Like, no one can take that away at all. But on a big scale level, and not just thinking about the UK, when we first went and did Pasha with Swedish House Mafia, I said to the promoter guy, "Let me play 15 minutes." He said, "What are you going to play?" I said, "I don't know. Like, let me just play." I went on and played hip hop, like straight up hip hop. The crowd went completely crazy
off
from that.
Sick.
And then Tinie performed, went off, and then from that moment, we was just like, we need to do something big here. And then a year later was when we did the pool party, and that was like just changed the game completely.
And that pool party was Ushuaia, right?
No, Hard Rock first.
Hard Rock.
That was
okay, right, okay.
And then it was like, let's go heavy on lineups for Ushuaia, this and that. They were not on it. Like, I was sending proposals. I was flying back and forth to Ibiza weekly to meet these guys. They were just not on it. And then I was like, just give me 6 dates. Give me your worst 3 at the start and give me your last 3.
Just let me show you guys what you're missing.
And then obviously Tinie was headlining them, and then I'd book a lineup underneath. And then they were like, cool, 2-year residency after that. And then off the back of that, I was saying to them, then they open high. So the people that own Ushuaia own high as well. Off the back of that, I was like, give me one night, give me your worst night in high, give me 3 events in a year or whatever. And then they're like, no. 1 January, I got a call saying we've got Mondays open. You got 24 hours to get us a proposal over.
Wow.
Smashed it out. And then they were like, look, we love what you're doing, but we need to bring someone else in. I was like, cool. Listening to their ideas. And then they were like, we just want a face of it so that if it doesn't work, you haven't tarnished everything that you've done so far in Ibiza. I was like, wicked.
That's fair.
I thought anyone would do that.
Wow, I was going to say that's quite rare in itself.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. So then we got Kathy Guetta involved, which is David Guetta's wife, because she had the VIP side of things. And we know like that was the biggest selling point for me to them, was that this music is going to bring you tables and spend. And then done that first season. No one knew it was my thing. Literally let her have all the limelight. I was playing the main set every week. So it was like, I was the headline DJ, no artists. We booked 2 artists that year, 3,000-4,000 people in. And then the following year was my own thing on the Monday, where I did one room Latin, kind of South American vibe. Then the other room, just straight hip hop and R&B. Smashed it, booked everyone, all the artists. And then COVID hit.
Yeah.
That is literally, I feel like everybody was on the cusp of like greatness, and then COVID is just kind of, and a year later, like the UK is not looking any, like we're still in a sticky one here, really. It's not looking like it's going to improve anytime soon. But
that, like, Ibiza is what kind of definitely shook off everything. And even like having a billboard in Ibiza, that was just me. And I went from like underneath the big disturbing poster, it would just be like hosted by DJ CHARLESY, to then have 3 years in a row my own actual billboard outside Ocean Beach. Like, that was just nuts for me.
Yeah, that's crazy.
There was no way that billboard was having Tinie Tempah's official DJ underneath.
Yes, own it, bro.
Mad.
No way.
No, that's sick, man. I feel, bro, you've done a lot in it. Like when you set out on this journey, like did you think you would get to this point where you've done the tours with Tinie, Capital, One Extra, like out in Dubai doing all the events, like you've done, like I feel like you've done everything, man. Are you happy with what you've achieved so far, or is it?
I haven't done not everything yet. Yeah, of course, man. Like, and I think I wouldn't be saying to you now that I'm willing to now just be based here and just focus on this if I hadn't done all of that. Do you get what I mean?
Yes, sir.
And that's me even taking a risk now, where I don't know what's going to happen this summer, but say this summer was getting back to being popping again, I would have to commit to being here because of this project and go back and do all of that stuff. So it's like, if I hadn't done that, then there's no way I would be doing what I'm doing now. So yeah, I suppose I feel like I'm happy that I've done it all.
Well, if you got to pass any bookings over, bro, then I'll check the diary and see. I'll see if I'm available. But feel free to shout.
But that's like, even that, I would always want to just bring people through as much as possible. And it's like, even the high thing, it was hard because there was no money. Like, I couldn't pay no one because the budget was artists, and it had to be artists because that's what was selling the event. And then it'd be like, I'd just book people, they'll come and play for free or whatever. I'd make sure they get the table, drinks, the whole lot. But then it was a double-edged sword when people would be offended that I haven't booked them.
Got you.
Right.
And then it'd be like, or not so much offended, but they'd be, can you book me? I was like, and I couldn't say it to them because I wouldn't like it said to me. I couldn't be like, you can play, but there's no money.
Yeah, it's a tough one, isn't it?
So yeah, and it's like, even like Scotty B is a prime example of that. I couldn't book Scotty B and say to him, I can't pay you. Like, it's just not in me to say that because he's that good of a DJ. Why should he not get paid? But I don't have the money to pay. So it's like, but then at the same time, I was bringing through all of these DJs that are new or young and coming through, like Nathan Dorr. I booked him in Ushuaia like 5 years ago. James Hype, all of these guys that are now doing it, and I wouldn't have paid them then. Do you get what I mean? But
it's a proper interesting one because it's just a discussion I often have with people, and it's like, at what point is it all right to work for free? because I'm at a stage where I'm like adamant, like I won't do stuff for free. I feel like I've worked long enough to put myself in a position where working for free isn't an option. With that said,
even if it's for the look.
Yeah, so yeah, for the look, I don't care. Like I'm not the Instagram DJ.
I'm here for this conversation. Come on.
With like the stuff with the look, I couldn't care less. Like I honestly, I'm not here for the on-stage photos. I'll take them, but I don't want to try and just get a one on-stage photo for Instagram and I've played for free.
I don't mean the look in that sense. I mean like say for example, and this is an example I always use, but Ushuaia to me, growing up and going to Ibiza for 12 years straight every year, I always had that thing. I need to play at Ushuaia. Like I was not stopping until I did. I went and played Ushuaia, half-hour set or whatever it was, for free, whatever. Yeah. Like
it gets you in the door, man.
It gets you in the door. Like if you even CVs, like you being able to say, I use my brother as the example. Like he come from playing garage, then he played grime and dubstep, and then he was like, the money is just in playing open format technically. So then he wanted to come to Dubai. I said, come and play Ushuaia, come play high, blah, blah, blah. He put it on his CV as that's the places he's played in the summer. Easy to walk through the doors in Dubai. And he done them for free at them times. Like that, when I say the look, that's what I mean.
Right. It's like
not the Instagram thing.
Sometimes you got to take into account like the roll off the back of that. Like you might do that gig for free, that might open this next door and that door that will be paid, and vice versa. And like you say, with somewhere like Ushuaia that's like world renowned and it's a dream booking for a lot of DJs. Sometimes you have got to leave the money put the money things aside. Sometimes you have to do.
That's where it's different for me though. So for me, I would judge it on if I do something for free, does it open up a bigger opportunity? Like with doing Ushuaia, for example, I feel like me doing Ushuaia wouldn't open up doors for me because it's not like, I don't feel like it's something I would take to someone and say, oh, I've done Ushuaia. And for me, I'm saying, I don't feel like they'd be like, oh, okay, cool. In that case, you can come through. But I think maybe that's because there's other stuff that I have done that I would put over that, if that makes sense. I don't know if I'm making sense. So like, okay, I'll just use two examples. Two artists that I've toured with. So I did Waka Flocka's European tour. I was his tour DJ, and Tory Lane's UK club tour. Like, so for me, and I got paid for both of them. And for me, they're opportunities that I can present to someone and be like, well, look, this is what I do. Like two huge international artists, and I've done that. And that for me would open up more doors than saying, I did a set at like Ministry of Sound.
I get what you're saying, Dubl. I think it depends on your individual brand as well. Like Ushuaia probably doesn't sit alongside your brand.
Yeah,
I'd say.
Yeah.
But for somebody like for other people, it's different, isn't it?
To kind of flip it, say like if I was in the position you're saying, like there was times when I would have paid for a flight to go to Dubai to play at White for free.
Real talk.
Right.
Like I would have done that.
Yeah.
And that, like, say for example, say you came to Dubai, you're in Dubai, whatever, and there's no money to play somewhere and there's an opportunity to play at White, but it's for free. Like White is a better look to what you're saying in terms of Tory Lanes and stuff like that. Would you do that then?
I suppose if I was in Dubai anyway, so all right, I'm on holiday in Dubai with the wifey, and then you call me and you're like, yo, do you want to come down and spin for an hour tonight? I'd probably be like, yeah, cool. I'll just come down, jump on, and we'll just hold a vibe. I think that's where it would. I guess it's such a difficult techie topic. I guess the way I would see it is
look at him.
No. It's because
I've done it a few times. I can't even hide it. I've definitely done it a few times. But like you say, I've maneuvered it in a way where you can gloss it up sometimes, and you can create other things off the side, and it can open up other doors. You just got to be a little bit tactical with it, man.
I think
I've even done it in like when I was at the peak. Like I would have done it. Like even for example in America, say Vegas or whatever. Like I've got a visa. I can play where I want if I wanted to play. I'm happily going to play for free. And even if that is to create a video and push the video that I played in Omnia or something in Vegas, I will do that.
It's part of the game, man. It's part of the game.
A lot of people like now, which I'm struggling with, is they don't see that. And back in the day when I was trying to come through, I would have got on a plane and gone to play in these places, but they expect to be paid now. And like, Yeshua has a different look to you for you, but for me, that was the goal. Like, and I would do it for free. I would have done a whole season there for free.
I think
Dubl wants to get paid.
No. You know what it is actually, because I was offered to be tour DJ for an artist once, and at the time it wasn't paid because the artist hadn't bust, and they were like, basically, there's no money. But I had a little boy, like I had a newborn baby, I had a flat to pay rent for, and I made my decision based off of they can't pay me for it, so I can't do it. Now, it just so happens that artist is massive now, and
no,
who is it?
Who is it, bro? Can you say?
The only reason I don't want to say is because their DJ now will now know that they weren't the first person that got asked. I'll tell you both after the pod.
This guy. Dubl is always the guy that says to our guests, say what it is. You know what I mean? And look at him beating around the bush now.
Oh no, I'm doing it to preserve someone's feelings because I don't want them to find out that they weren't the first person that got asked. I don't want to create any tension in their camp.
Dubl's moving soft today.
The point it was this guy I DJ'd for in Hastings once, right? And the point I'm getting at is that is actually one of my biggest regrets in terms of DJing, because I made my decision based off of the fact that there was no money available, and I turned down. And this is an artist I had a really good relationship with as well. So it wasn't even like I fully believed this artist would go the distance, but.
I was about to say, sometimes you got to believe in the talent, bro, and it sounds like you did, but you
100% did.
You held off.
I was in a position where I was like, it was short-term thinking, because I was like, well, I've got bills. I can't be running around the country doing stuff for free because I've genuinely got like a 6-month-old baby at home that I have to feed. Do you know what I mean? So it's like that. But that decision at the time, it was right for me. But looking back, it was like, okay, I could have just taken an L short term, because now I would be in a better financial position because they're raking it in. So in that sense, I've always been torn when it comes to this topic, because it's like, on the flip side of it, if someone's running and okay, so this has genuinely happened. Someone's running a festival, and I've had conversations about, cool, they would love me to host it, but there's no budget for a host because they're paying artists. And so for me, it's like, well, if I come and host your festival for free, what will ever make any other festival pay me to do that job if they know I'm doing it for free?
Yeah, but
does that make sense?
Why would they know?
Because festival promoters and agents and all these people, they talk. It's happened on a smaller scale.
The difference there is you'll go and host this festival. If you've smashed it, and
I would
before you even kind of get to that point, this mic keeps moving. Before you even get to that point, it's about like making sure that your name's placed in the right place on the artwork, all of that stuff, and then you go and smash it. There's no reason why the next festival's not going to pay you. And that's my thinking. I would go and do this festival, absolutely smash it. And then next year, because I've smashed it, if they want me back, they're paying me.
So you generate leverage then, don't you? Like, you've gone in, you've proved your worth, you've smacked it to the point where the year after you can turn around and then say, look, we'll talk a little bit of cash, whatever, and the ball kind of falls on your side a little bit more then. But if you don't take the initial opportunity, then what? You know what I mean?
And even if they don't book you next year, and you're saying about other festivals talk, and the festival's a big festival, at least then you're like, that's on your CV. I've done this at this festival. Like, let's go. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think for me, it's a bit different because I had agent at the time and all of that. So me doing stuff for the look and then my agent going to sell me, it kind of works. Do you get what I mean? Like even my agent would be like, there's no money here. Say, for example, I did one, like Bruno Mars did a concert and he was playing at a club in London after. Didn't have a DJ. My agent was like, can you go and DJ for him? But there's no money. 100%. Like, I'll be there in 10 minutes. But that's for the look of that, and then later on is like he's DJ'd for Bruno Mars. Do you get what I mean?
But does that benefit you though? Because like respectfully, does anyone care that you've DJ'd for Bruno Mars if he's then gone to Manchester and someone else has hopped on the decks, or if he's then gone somewhere else and someone else has done it? Like for me, I see so many people, like a lot of young and up and coming DJs will list, I've DJ'd for da 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 da. When really all that means is that person was in the club, they hopped on the mic for 5 minutes and then they left. There was no relationship there, if that makes sense. So they weren't the DJ.
That don't matter.
It don't matter, man.
Do you think it's like, that sort of thing still carries weight? Yeah.
Even if it carries that little bit of weight, say for me when I was on radio and I said to a guy, I've got a guest mix from a DJ and I'm talking them up. Me even saying that this guy DJ for Bruno Mars, blah, 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 like... Makes it sound gassy, man. Yeah, it's something for me to talk about on radio. And the listener will be like, okay, cool. And if he gets 5 followers from that one thing that he said he DJ'd for this person, then it was worth him doing that. Do you get what I mean? Yeah, yeah. And on my side of it, it's like that type of stuff probably got me corporate gigs. I don't know what it did. Like it may or may not have, but to me, saying that I've done that and the picture on my bio, on my press pack and all of that, like it works. Do you get what I mean?
Oh, the same thing happened when I did the Beyonce thing. Like there was a different DJ in every city. I think there was one in Scotland, one down south. I did the Manny one. I didn't do all the shows, but I was approached directly to do that one show. So I'm not going to be like, oh, maybe I'm not doing all the other shows, so it's not really the greatest of looks. And like they offered the money. They offered the money as well. So I was like, all right.
Well, you can say you supported Beyonce. Like, yes, so as millions of other people and artists. Like, but you've done that. Do you get what I mean?
Yep. I was actually the opening act. That was the difference. There was no act. It was me doing a 90-minute set in the middle of the flipping stadium. So I was like, it was different, innit? But even if they said do it for free, I'm not turning that down. Playing at the Etihad in my hometown to 50,000 people, and you're the opening act. It's like you just wouldn't. I would have done that for free, to be fair. But they offered the bag too, so double whammy, mate.
But there would also be DJs out there that would say no to that because they're not getting paid.
I hear that. Double.
100%.
Double would have said no. Double would have said no to Beyonce and Jay-Z, you know.
No, because you got paid for it. You see, they put an offer and then you got paid. I would do stuff for free if it was a life goal. So something like if they were like, look, do you want to be J. Cole's tour DJ? We're going to do the whole of America, but we can only cover your expenses. I'd be like, yes, touring with J. Cole. I'm in. Like, so if it was a life goal or something massive like that, that's like a proper life experience, or if it was something that I knew could guarantee more opportunities. So if it was someone
you can't guarantee.
Can't guarantee it. Can't guarantee anything in life, brother.
There you go then. No, okay. So what? All right. So what I mean is, if an artist is like, look, come on tour with us. We can't, like, we want to see you on the first show. Or if a massive club somewhere was like, right, we want you to come and just do like a tester, and if you smack it, then that's it. You're in, and you've got the job. We'll give you a monthly residency paid, blah blah blah, whatever.
Okay.
That's what I mean by leading to more opportunities. Then I'd be open to it. But I think, just in general, I don't know. Even with my experience of regretting turning down the thing based on money, I still just, I don't know, it's techie when it comes to playing for free, because I think it sets a precedence.
I get what Dubl's saying.
I do get what you're saying, but at the same time, that precedence is at that time.
Yeah.
If you've smashed something, then you've got every right after that time to say what you need to say.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and I've DJ'd, like you said, for when DJs say that they play for artists in the clubs, like in white, that's the biggest thing. Like every artist that's come through pretty much don't bring their DJs. I play for them.
Okay.
But off the back of that, when I'm booking them, I'm also saying you don't need to bring your DJ because I have DJ'd for this.
Right. Yeah.
And you can save money, and it saves me money booking you. And like, I get the look of it, and it's great. And then, like, you don't know what that's going to lead to. Like even F1, not the last one before. Like, I've supported with Tinie Usher on tour, and then at F1 a couple of years ago, I DJ'd for Usher for half an hour, and to me that, like, I would have run out the chance of doing that, free or not, whatever. And I don't even talk about it, but that to me was something that I needed to do. Do you get what I mean?
I heard that.
So it's like, you're right. It depends on the situation, but I don't think it's the right thing to say for these guys coming up that you have to be paid for everything because
no, not for everything.
I think especially, I think when you're coming up, it is completely different. Like I can hear where I mean, me and Dubl, like we've had long careers, like same with you, Charlesy. Like I can see where Dubl comes from, but I think for people coming through, sometimes you do have to maneuver a little bit to create opportunities here and there. Like I totally get that. I've definitely done that a few times throughout my career, and I probably would still do it. Like you just said, I'd still do it now, depending on what it was. So it's an interesting one, man. This is a whole new conversation.
It's one I talk about a lot.
Don't ever go to Dubl with a booking that isn't paid. You know
Chat to me properly.
You know you're gonna get, man. Oh Lord. No, anyway,
I'm open for negotiations.
My guy. Yo, Charlesy, man.
Economy flight to Australia,
yeah? I couldn't think of anything worse. What is it? Is Australia? Is it a 24-hour flight?
Yeah.
Close.
Yeah, it's definitely. There must be a layover. There's no direct flights.
It's awful.
Yeah, Dubai normally.
Dubai, you know, the center of the universe, Dubai, now, isn't it? Man.
Yeah.
Yo, Charlesy, man, you've been a sick guest, bro. Like, thank you for I think we've had you for like 2 hours now, just over.
Yeah.
So yeah, we appreciate your time, man.
Thanks for having me, man. Big
Super
fan
dope.
of the pod.
Thank you, bro. Yeah, well, when he feels like, wow, Charlesy listens to the pod. Like, you don't even you just don't realize who's listening, man. It's crazy.
When I saw that, I think
that's what it's good for, though, isn't it?
That was the 100th episode, wasn't it? I think you literally just my phone.
It,
yeah, I saw in my mentions
My
like,
God.
oh, Charles posted the pod, and then he said you were a fan of the podcast. Like, wow,
That's lovely, man. You don't even realize who's listening. Like we've just been, well, before you know it, we're 2 years deep. Like it's just kind of,
that's mad.
It's just flashed by. Three close
years.
to 3.
3 years now.
Because we have been awfully inconsistent. We're being as consistent as DJs normally are. Like we'll have a great run, 10 weeks on the bounce, and then we might ghost for like 3 weeks, and then we'll be back again. But we're on it now, though. We're on it. Like we've got loads of guests locked in. Like we're sticking, and the guests are getting better and better as well, man. We're getting
when
the gems.
When you're in Dubai as well, we'll do a special in Dubai. Like even
100.
a part of the space has I want to do live podcasts.
Okay.
So like there's an area where it's like bleachers type style seating, and then we'll do live podcasts filmed and record. So
super dope.
And you guys need to do a live podcast show in the UK, bro. That's where the money's at.
Yeah, you know what?
Bro, Dubl. I've been saying this, man. Like I'm seeing everyone taking their things over to Twitch now, and like.
No.
I'm in Twitch, bro. I'm loving it.
Chelsea's talking about live venue.
Live audience.
Yeah,
okay.
This is something we had started the ball rolling, and then COVID hit. So literally, we just it
was early stages, but we did chat about trying to do something, and then obviously same as everybody else, man.
Yeah,
my thing.
But no, keep doing your thing, man. Happy for you guys.
Much love, bro. Thank you, man. Same to you, man. And all the best with the new project and stuff. I hope that hope everything works out for you, bro. And yeah, we'll be out there. I'll be out there, and then hopefully in the next couple of months, if
let's talk
allowed.
About that as well. We'll talk about that too.
Yeah, man. My guy. Well, Charlesy, where can the man them catch you? Are you active on the socials? Like, give yourself a plug, man, and then we'll wrap it up.
Just at DJ CHARLESY, everything. Everything. Don't really use it much, but everything. Yeah, Charlesy's low key now, innit? I was doing research. I was like, why can't I can't find too much about Charlesy, you know? We can find like the debate stuff that everybody knows about. I was trying to do a bit of digging. Just kept it low key, haven't you? Gotta be done, bro. That's how you survive through this.
I respect it. Sick. All right, Charlesy. Love my bro.
Wicked, man.
Until next time.
Thank you, brother.